There's a program for everyone on your seats. However, if you do not have one, please signify so that we can get it across to you. Thank you. Okay, there are some.
Should we really say the eagle has landed?
All right, everyone.
Is your mic on? Let's give them a few minutes to set up and fast. Let them do all the greetings and everything.
Good morning, ma. All right, everyone. We're about to start.
Can we settle down? We're about to start. Settle down, settle down. We're about to begin.
Such an empowering song.
I was so touched the entire time. Please be seated. Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we cannot proceed without acknowledging the distinguished guests in our midst today. We're truly honored to have each and every one of you. However, there are certain personalities that we must acknowledge. In our midst today, we have the gorgeous and graceful Madam Ifeoma Uz Okpala, ED Large Enterprises. A round of applause. We have the inspiring Madam Mabel Indagi, Executive Director, Public Sector and Interventions Programs Directorate. You're welcome, ma'am. We have the jovial Mr. Usen Efyong, Executive Director, Corporate Services. We have the tall, dark, and handsome Mr. Rotimi Akinde, Executive Director, Corporate Finance and Risk Management. Ladies, a round of applause. We also have in our midst today the General Manager, Divisional Head, Management Services, Madam Dayo Aderubo. I can also see that the Treasurer, Mr. Ayo Bajamo, is in our midst today as well, so round of applause. We have the Divisional Head of Operations and Technology, Mr. Bolanho Lutomiwa. Please, a round of applause. And every other member of management, executive management seated in our midst today, you're welcome. However, we won't proceed without acknowledging the Action Accelerator himself in our midst. When he walked in, I almost said the eagle has landed. Please sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, in our midst today, we have the Managing Director and CEO, Bank of Industry, Dr. Olasupo Olusi. Please, a round of applause. Thank you very much for joining us, sir, today. We're very delighted to have you in our midst today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'd also like to recognize the presence of some of the external visitors with us today. We have some of our customers in our midst, so please let's just give them a round of applause. Thank you for joining us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is all about celebrating women, our strength, resilience, and impact. But beyond celebrating, it's also about action, ensuring women are empowered, included, and given the opportunities we deserve. And if there's one leader who truly embodies this, it's the man we are about to introduce.
From day one, he made it clear that he's not just a leader, he's an advocate. In his very first bank-wide communication, he shared that his best moments are spent with his wife, his 3 daughters, and of course, let's not forget the family dog, who I believe might be female as well. So if there's anyone who understands the power of women, he's the man we're about to introduce.
But beyond his personal life, his leadership at Bank of Industry speaks volumes. He's an action accelerator, turning words into real impact, ensuring women-led businesses have access to funding, and driving policies that create lasting change.
So with great pleasure, let's welcome a leader who doesn't just talk about action, he inspires it. Please join me in welcoming our MD and CEO, Dr. Olasupo Olusi.
Good morning. Yes, the family dog is actually female. So as you can see, I'm outnumbered even at home and maybe now in our management team. But of course, it gives me great pleasure to welcome everybody to this year's celebration at the Bank of Industry of the International Women's Day. For the first time in a very long time, I almost developed inferiority complex being a man in the room. With all the, when I also saw that women had their own anthem, I was like, now wow, things have really, really evolved. But I'm delighted to see that there is a lot of advance in the desire to achieve gender development, particularly in this country and beyond. And I really want to start by commending the organizers of this event. I want to congratulate the members of our management team who are actively involved in putting together this year's celebration, from our delectable ED PSIP, Madam Mabel Ndagi. Please give her a round of applause. To Madam Dayo Aderubo, our GM Management Services, and all the others. It is a wonderful delight to have you in the room. But I want to shout out a huge congratulations to all the women here present. BOI has evolved, as you can imagine. Since I started here at BOI, there's been a number of changes that has really empowered women. We have 2 executive directors that are female, our ED largest, like I like to call her, or ED Large Enterprises, Madam Mufoma Uzopala. We have Madam Mabel Ndagi also. We have our legal advisor now, Ireti Daramola. Where is she? Ireti is here. We have Mrs. Salami, our company secretary, who is here. We have our internal auditor, our chief auditor executive, Onome. She's also here. So we are really putting, and then of course, yes, our incoming treasurer, Madam Ijoma. And a number of our GMs now are also female. So we've done a number of things to empower women in our management team. I had to say that for the benefit of our guests and our visitors. I want to acknowledge their presence this morning, starting with Dr. Chizo Maliza, the MD CEO of Financial Institutions Training Center. You're welcome, ma'am. I want to also acknowledge the presence of Ms. Folashade Hughes, the MDC of Lakowe Lakes Hospitality Limited, and my big brother, the Managing Director of Optimus Bank, Dr. Demola Odeyemi, who I can only say a huge thanks to you for coming and for being present. Thank you, sir. It is wonderful to see all of you here today as we celebrate the International Women's Day in 2025. I am particularly excited by this year's theme, Accelerate Action, because it perfectly captures the spirit of our commitment here at the Bank of Industry to progress our gender objective. While we celebrate the progress made in closing the gender gap globally, the 2024 Global Gender Gap Index from the World Economic Forum highlights that meaningful change remains. And I mean it again, I say it again, no country is yet to achieve full gender parity. At this current pace, the objective will not be achieved until 2158, which is several years away. And that is far beyond the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals target. In this report, Nigeria ranked 125 out of 146 countries of the world on the global 14 places with positive changes in the political empowerment, education attainment is in part attributable to various government reforms, including the revision of the National Gender Policy, which places gender mainstreaming at its core, aimed at promoting gender equality and women's empowerment across all sectors. Notably, positive strides are evident in increasing female participation in senior leadership roles in legislature, government offices, and other various economic sectors. Despite these advancements, it is imperative to accelerate action to rapidly close the gender gap that currently exists. As we mark this year's International Women's Day, we celebrate the remarkable achievements of women while also acknowledging the persistent systematic barriers that hinder their full participation in the economic sphere. From a BOI context, we all know women entrepreneurs often face disproportionate obstacles in accessing the resources and opportunities necessary to thrive as entrepreneurs. Securing financing remains a major hurdle, and statistics consistently demonstrate that women-owned businesses receive significantly less funding than their male counterparts. This creates great difficulties, which means that obtaining loans for them is often very difficult. This disparity in access to capital severely restricts the capacity for women enterprises to grow, to develop, to empower their communities as they would like to, and ultimately limits their contribution to broader economic contribution. Beyond the critical issue of finance, women entrepreneurs frequently grapple with a plethora of interconnected challenges. They often lack the access to vital networks and mentorship opportunities, which hinder their ability to learn from experienced professionals and build strategic partnerships. In addition, on the domestic front, many women bear a disproportionate burden of household responsibilities, including childcare and domestic duties, which significantly limits the time and energy they can dedicate to their businesses. Furthermore, deeply ingrained societal biases and gender stereotypes continue to plague how women entrepreneurs are perceived and treated in the business world. These biases create additional hurdles in securing contracts, sourcing finance, and achieving recognition for their achievements. This amplifies the critical need for decisive actions to overcome other systemic barriers and create a more equitable landscape for women to thrive. For me, mainstreaming gender is not just about corporate goals. It's a personal mission that holds a special place in my heart. As was said earlier, I'm a father of girls. As the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, so eloquently put it, achieving gender equality requires the engagement of women and men, girls and boys. It is everyone's responsibility. I urge us all to strive for this in all facets of our lives. As the leading DFI in Nigeria, we have fully integrated gender development in our mandate and highlighted it as one of our 6 thematic areas in our new corporate strategy. BOI is committed to allocating at least 15% of our financing to women-owned and led businesses. This represents a significant improvement from our previous target of 7% and demonstrates our commitment to accelerate progress towards gender parity. Furthermore, I'm pleased to inform you that BOI continues to disburse large amounts of loans to women-owned and women-led enterprises. I think as of the end of last year, we had disbursed about 108 billion, and will continue to do more. This is to deepen our impact, and we are actively expanding our gender lens financing interventions through strategic collaborations with various global and local organizations. We've signed up to the WIFI code with the Central Bank and the Development Bank of Nigeria, which is a major step forward to show that we are fully committed to ensuring that women get access to funding. We have engaged in a partnership with the Africa Guarantee Fund, which is a subsidiary of the Africa Development Bank, to agree to a $50 million partial risk guarantee mechanism, which will prioritize women-owned businesses with a 75% guarantee. This is a major step forward to providing the kind of collateral that women need to de-risk their own lending. And we are continuing to engage to ensure that this becomes operational this year. More than 300,000 women have benefited from the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme, with 50,000 grants each as at February 2025, which means that a lot of the beneficiaries of this presidential program are women, and will continue to empower them. RAPID, another program of ours, the Rural Areas Program on Investment for Development, has really supported women enterprises, and as of February 2025, we have provided about 327 million naira to 55 women-owned and led businesses. We are supporting Rural Capital. We are supporting the Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Women's Affairs programs. We have also BOI Amazons, which is a dedicated focus group that fosters collaboration, networking, and professional development, and is creating a supportive and inclusive environment that promotes gender equality and enhances our overall effectiveness. Looking ahead, we are determined to build on all our achievements to further deepen our partnerships and our deliverables to ensure gender parity. As I conclude, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the women of the Bank of Industry. Your dedication, resilience, and contributions are invaluable to our shared mission. Together, we can achieve the true empowerment of women and unlock the full potential of Nigerian women in all sectors. Please let's make Accelerate Action a reality. Happy International Women's Day, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. What an enigma the MD is. The data speaks for itself. Data doesn't lie. I like that in the MD's speech, not only he highlighted all the things that the bank is doing to advance women in the country, women in the bank. So let us put our hands together. Let's give him a befitting round of applause to the Action Accelerator in our midst today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Also, sir, you don't know how much I won when you confirmed the gender of your dog here, because
yes,
we had argued this. Thank you very much. We would also like to quickly recognize some additional guests here in our midst from the Ugandan Development Bank. We have Fiona Ario. We have Rachel Nagawa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Okay, before we proceed, would love for each and every one of you to please turn to the person to your left or your right and give them a genuine compliment. Just look at them from head to toe. Say something nice about them.
If you're comfortable enough,
give them a handshake, give them a hug. Just acknowledge the beautiful or the handsome person seated next to you, please. Today is all about celebrating women, so let's start with celebrating one another.
Munke, you look lovely.
Oh, thank you, my darling Kosi.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, my darling Kosi.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But before we proceed again, there's something I also want to mention from what the MD spoke about, to bring it home a bit. The MD mentioned, he mentioned a few names of female staff in the bank that are heading key positions. If you are here, please stand up and let's appreciate the leaders that are working for women, that are representing the goals and the dreams of young women in the bank, that is showing us that you can aspire for a lot more. You can reach the top and you can walk your way to the top. Please keep appreciating these women. Please keep appreciating them. A round of applause for each and every one of them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Each year, in honor of today's celebration, a team is introduced which sparks important dialogue, driving progress and social change. It provides a platform for ongoing advocacy and empowerment.
To share this year's theme and powerful message behind it, please join us in giving a warm round of applause to the delightful, graceful, and elegant divisional head of public relations, who is also a gender thematic champion, Madam Theodora Amici.
A round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kosi and Mukeng. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Thank you. Good morning, MD, Bank of Industry, Dr. Olashupo Olusi, our distinguished EDs present, our guests, you're all welcome, our media friends, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gathered to celebrate women all over the world. Nigerian women, and in particular, I'm sorry I'm partial, but BOI women. A day to appreciate the progress we've made towards gender equality and to recommit ourselves to accelerating change. Today, there's a famous saying that when you empower a woman, whatever you give to a woman, she multiplies. But I will not go there because if I go to the end, I might be queried at some point. But suffice to say that women are resourceful in whatever you give them. They are diligent in their duties. We don't want to look far to see that women are breaking the glass ceilings, tearing down stereotypes, and rising to leadership positions in every sector. In the banking sector, I think at the last count, we have over 11 bank female CEOs in Nigeria. And I tell you, we're not done yet. Let me domesticate it. In BOI, we have Amazons, not the kind of Amazons that the MD had spoken about, but the kind of Amazons that we witness every day that live with us, starting with the ED, Public Sector and Intervention, Ms. Mabel Ndagi. Thank you very much. Mrs. Ifoma Uzokpala, ED Large Enterprise. Mrs. Dayo Aderubo, our GM and Divisional Head, Management Services. Mrs. Uche Unwuka, GM Large Enterprises. Please, would like to acknowledge you where you are. Thank you. Mrs. Funlola Salami, GM and Company Secretary. Mrs. Ebehi Ohi Omoike, she's the MD of our BOI leasing subsidiary. Need I go on? I don't think so. In the corporate world, we have women like Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, DG World Trade Organization, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, UNDP, United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Mrs. Nike Akonde, who's Nigeria's first female minister for industry, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, first female chairperson of First Bank of Nigeria, and all our distinguished panelists today are all women of accomplished status. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. However, despite these gains, we still have a long way to go. Women and girls continue to face systemic barriers, biases, and inequalities that prevent them from attaining their full potential. That's why this year's theme, Accelerate Change, is so crucial. We must accelerate efforts to create a world where women and girls have equal access to education, healthcare, economic opportunities, and political representation. Here in BOI, we're fortunate to have a leadership that is gender sensitive, a he for she in our MD, who is committed to gender equality, providing equal opportunities for women and men to reach their full potential. Thank you, Dr. Olashupa Olusi, for giving us wings to fly and aspire. Thank you for making today possible as well. And thank you, sir, for making gender a key area of impact for BOI. Together, sir, we will continue to accelerate change. I would like your permission to invite the other gender thematic champions and gender business executives to come over so that we can together show the sign for Accelerate Change for this year's theme. I'd like to invite Ijoma Isiolu, my co-gender champion. Asmao Dankabo is also one of our gender champions, but she's joining us online. She's in Abuja. I would like to invite the divisional head for gender, Mrs. Jalila, and Adebola Orume. Is she here? Thank you very much. So this year's theme, Accelerate Change, propels us to do more, be more, and gain more. So here's to accelerating change. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the gorgeous, delectable, exquisite Madam Theodora and her fellow gender thematic champions. Please, let's give them a round of applause. Come on. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We promised you that we have a power-packed event today. We are going to have conversations that are going to challenge your perspectives and broaden your horizon. So just sit tight and enjoy yourself, learn a thing or two, and have fun. Today is all about us celebrating women, celebrating the beautiful, strong women of the bank and in Nigeria.
Before we go into that, I just wanted to share a quick fun facts with us. Did you know that women see more colors than men? Did we know that?
Are you sure?
I guess this explains those wedding invitation cards. We definitely know it's a woman behind it when she says tomato red or onion purple. And the men are just there like, is it not just red? So yes, we would like to introduce the panel session. And to do that, the lady that we're about to introduce, if you're a big fan of Big Brother Naija, you definitely know who this is. She is a powerhouse of talent and a director's dream. She's a versatile actress, an MC, singer, songwriter, TV and radio presenter, and mimic, known for her brilliance, quick wit, and spontaneity.
Her television career saw her host the renowned Billboard Nigeria music show, which aired on both terrestrial and cable stations from 2011 to 2013. While hosting, she continued to act and feature in several films and television series, including Skinny Girl in Transit, Sugar Rush, The Life of a Nigerian Couple, Picture Perfect, and many others.
She was honored with the Trailblazer Award at the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards, AMVCA, marking a turning point in her career. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together as we welcome on stage Bisola Ayola.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing today? Fun fact, I'm a very nervous human being. I know a lot of people find it very difficult to believe, but I want to stand on existing protocol. My name is Abisola Ayola, and I'm going to be the moderator for the Bank of Industry's International Women's Day celebration. Can we give ourselves a big round of applause? I know earlier our hosts, wanted to make the room a little livelier and said we should just give the person next to us a lovely compliment. I had also planned something like that. I just wanted us to know the next person, the person close to us, get to know them a little better. So you're going to look to the person, and you're going to go to the left and to the right, right? So we're going to start with the left, just to know them a little better. We're going to ask them 3 questions. Just 3 simple questions. Are we ready? Are we ready? Fantastic. So question number 1, very simple. Just ask them their name. What's their name? Have you gotten the names? Ask them what they had for breakfast. Have you asked them what they had for breakfast? And question number 3, ask them what their superpower is. All right, turn. Okay, can we turn to the person on our right and ask the same questions? Name, what they had for breakfast this morning, and their superpower. Fantastic. Are we done now? Almost? Okay, a few more seconds. Few more seconds. Okay, all right, we're done now. So from everyone you've asked a question, how many people had Eba this morning? That's a superwoman over there. You look really lively for Eba this morning. All right, thank you very much. Can we give ourselves a big round of applause? So I'll be moderating 2 panels today, and the first panel's theme is Breaking Barriers, Women in Leadership and Governance. So I'm going to be calling up on stage our panelists, and our first panelist that would grace the stage is Mrs. Ifeoma Uzuakpala, the Executive Director, Large Enterprises Bank of Industry. Mrs. Uzuakpala is a seasoned credit and risk management professional and has over 27 years of experience in the financial sector. She began her journey at the International Merchant Bank and progressed through key roles at NBC International, First Bank, Stanbic Bank, and UBA. Her versatile expertise encompasses internal audit, corporate finance, credit evaluation and origination, foreign operations, and risk management. An alumna of the University of Nigeria, where she graduated from the accountancy department, Ifeoma further honed her skills at the prestigious Lagos Business School. She's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She's dedicated to professional development, evidenced by her memberships in respected organizations such as the Chartered Risk Management Institute of Nigeria, Sustainability Professionals Institute of Nigeria, and the Institute of Corporate Responsibility and Sustainability Professionals. Can we give Ifeoma Uzuakpala a big round of applause? I like this room. The energy, I love it. Up next is Dr. Chizo Malize, Managing Director and CEO, Financial Institutions Training Center. Dr. Chizo, can we give her a round of applause as she steps to the stage? Dr. Chizo Malize is a visionary business leader, a transformation expert, and an ESG advocate. She's the Managing Director, CEO of FITC, a premier innovation-led professional services and consulting firm in Africa, with over 25 years of experience spanning financial services, energy, and consulting. She has driven strategic transformation across multi-institutions across Africa. Dr. Chizo has held senior leadership roles in the financial services and energy sectors and sustainability space, driving market, driving marketing, product innovation, business process re-engineering, and ESG and sustainability initiatives across the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Chizo Malize. The third powerful lady we're bringing up to the panel is Folashade Hughes, MD, CEO, Lakowe Lakes Hospitality Limited. Folashade Hughes is a seasoned real estate professional with over 3 decades of experience in conceptualizing, designing, planning, and developing various residential, commercial, and hospitality assets. She studied architecture at the University of Lagos and is an alumnus of the Harvard Business School, Boston. She holds certificates in interior design from the KLC School of Interior Design, London, and hotel asset management from the Cornell School of Hospitality Management. Before joining Mixstar Africa, her career experience includes 16 years as an architect with Design Group Nigeria, where she designed and delivered many high-profile projects across Nigeria, followed by an 11-year stint as founding CEO of Briscoe Properties Limited, where she led the transformation of a small-scale facility management company into a full-fledged property development and project management company. Ladies and gentlemen, Folashade Hughes. And finally, to introduce the only gentleman on this panel. Let's show him that we support women, we support men. The applause, make it loud. Big one. Dr. Ademola Odeyemi, Managing Director at Optimus Bank. Oh. Dr. Ademola Odeyemi has over 2 decades of professional banking experience in domestic and international banking and was the Executive Director at Guarantee Trust Bank PLC. Responsible for international expansion strategy formulation and implementation, his financial sector experience and expertise cover financial control, strategy, corporate planning, and international banking. He served on the board of all Guarantee Trust Bank subsidiaries and other companies. Ademola has sound public sector knowledge, especially in public sector financial planning and management. Ladies and gentlemen, the only man on the team, Dr. Ademola Odeyemi. Thank you very much. So we're in for a very interesting conversation. Hello. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Give me 1 second. I think I threw off the... Can't seem to reach it. Yes, I can't seem to reach it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, so we have very interesting questions for our panelists today. And first, we're going to be starting with Ifeoma Uzokpala and Dr. Chizo Malize. As we know, the theme for this particular panel is Breaking Barriers, Women in Leadership and Governance. So for Ifeoma Uzokpala and Dr. Chizo Malize, I want to ask, what practical steps have helped you navigate male-dominated industries? Who would like to go first? Let Ifeoma go first.
Okay. She's the host. We're in her home. Okay. Can you hear me? I think the answer is simple. What a man can do, a woman can do it better. That's what we all say. But I think basically there's a need to take it further than that, because saying what a man can doesn't help the narrative. I mean, if you say what a man can do, you can do better, and you're not equipped, both intellectually, technically, and emotionally, then you cannot do what a man can do. So I think one of the things that have helped me is, one, I got my positions. I've been exposed to different roles in my career. So at every point in time, I found out what was necessary, what I required, and made sure I met that requirement. You know, so when I say what a man can do, I can do better. I actually know what they can do, and I can do better. I also found that it was necessary to really collaborate with the men, to hang with them so that I'll know what they can do and I'll find out how to do it better, you know. And in all of that, there was something I also did. I realized that it was also important to hang with my female folks, you know, because there's something about women. We see challenges, we pick them up and we run. So I also had to meet with female executives, female that had been there before me for mentorship, for direction, and for guidance. You know, because, I mean, it's not the way a woman is treated that a man is treated. So as much as I'm learning what the men are doing, I'm also trying to find out how the women that have walked that road walked it before I joined. So I think those are some of the things I did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question. I am very delighted to share insights in terms of practical steps that I had taken to not only break boundaries, but also stand out even amongst men. I have had the opportunity. All of my career, I have worked in industries that are male-dominated. All of my career, I've worked in industries that are male-dominated, whether it was in banking, marketing, consulting. They were all male-dominated. But a few things had also helped me stand out, and I would love to share that today as practical tips to all of the people who have either learned or are learning, are on the journey to building their career. Number one, I'll speak to self-development. A lot of times, we speak about women being at par with men, but we also know that men are very intentional about their life. You'll find a couple who the man probably has already 3 degrees, while the woman is very busy, you know, taking care of both the man and every other thing. So if the cut of career is what you are interested in, you must also move and accelerate your speed as much as the guy is going, so you can stand out also, because nobody is going to say, oh, she was raising the home. And there's no problem with raising the home. So that's why I said, if building a career and being on the path of a career is important to you and your priority and your families, please work hard to self-develop. And so speaking about self-development, the first job that I walked into at the age of 26, I met 4 solid senior directors, and of course I'm sure you know that they are male already. From the managing director of the company, Dr. Marino, all the way down to director of finance, director of technology, director of marketing, and all of them were male. But I found something instrumental. Every single year, they disappear for summer to attend one course in Harvard or Wharton or anywhere in the world. And I just simply said to myself, you know what, I'm going to be like this guy. And what did I do? 1 year into work, I self-sponsored myself. I found the best marketing career conference all over the world that I thought was best. It was holding in South Africa, Bloemfontein. I paid for myself. I sponsored myself. I went. I didn't wait until the organization could do. But the biggest thing is that I met the best of people from 300 countries across the world. Nothing that I've ever seen in that magnitude. But most importantly, I met the person who became the best mentor that I've ever met in life and has shaped everything that I've done. And that's Dr. Miles Monroe. If I didn't move, I wouldn't meet him. Meeting him exposed my life and my eyes and my mind to so many things, and I think that's remarkable. So self-development. Now, the second, which is also another tip that I would love to share, because it's quite practical. When I went on to work after that first phase of my life and career, and I grew in my career, and I was hired as a head of director of marketing and product strategy, working with Tony Lumelu. Every single person, like you all know, in the division and group, were all male. It was heavily male denominated. But you know, I formed an acronym for myself, which is OBA. That's over, beyond, and above. What did I do with OBA? For every single task you gave me, I went over, beyond, and above. And in a very short time, I not only stood out, but I stood beyond par with the male, and it's helped me accelerate all of my growth also. And over the years too, when I went to work in Access Bank as one of the senior leaders, again, very male dominated, like we all know again. What did I do? Collaboration. I found that you do more when you are also able to collaborate with men. And for every single vision I wanted to lead, I shared with people who I also consider not only accelerators like we have seen today in the person of the managing director of Bank of Industry, and but so many men who are like that. So in collaborating, I get buy-in. In collaborating, I get people who would support my programs. In collaborating, I was also able to accelerate my impact. So in summary, self-development, going over and above and beyond, which is excellence for me, and lastly is collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Still asking Ifeoma and Dr. Chizo, you both mentioned collaboration with men. That was what Ifeoma mentioned, and you've also spoken about self-development. I know that these may have come with certain challenges. It's not been an easy ride. Nothing is ever a bed of roses. Can you please share an experience where you turned a gender-based challenge into an opportunity? Still for Dr. Chizo and Ifeoma, please.
Okay, so I think I'll start with the one that I know is very major for most women, and that is childbearing and running a home. Okay, when Dr. Chizo talked about her stint with UBA, so I was also in UBA, and it was male denominated, you know, and what they always say is women, they'll talk about their children are distracting them, you know, but I looked at that as a major challenge, which I know a lot of women face. And what I did with it is that, yes, women have to have children. We don't have a choice. That's the way God created us. So we need to have the children. But that, I don't know if there's any mother in this room that is not everything. So you are a doctor, you are a mechanic, you're a driver, you're everything. You're the doctor. Okay? So one thing I learned from childbearing and having children is I became very multitasking. So I was able to balance the fact that, yes, I had children, but that didn't stop me from being a super woman when it came to tasks that were set. I didn't sit back and say, I cannot do it because I'm a woman or because I had children. I had to find a way to balance all of that. You know, I remember when I was in UBA, when there are certain meetings, you just said, let's meet at 8 p.m. And it used to bug me a lot. So whenever I go for that meeting, I'll say, all of you are going home to warm meals. I'm going home to make a warm meal. So before I even enter the meeting, they'll say, what warm meal are you going to make today? You know, because it now became something I joked about, but it was real. But I knew that if I decided not to attend those meetings or to go for those engagements, then what they say is true, that women are distracted by family or by children. So I made sure that in all of that, I brought out that skill of being multitasking, being everything to everybody at the same time. I made sure I put that to practice, and it helped me in things I did and how I did things. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. The story about women and balancing the home is very common. So I would also drive around that because you can never speak to it too much. It's never excessive. And the reason I say that is that a lot of women are inhibited by the fact that they either have vision to grow family or develop their family, and then long in their career they realize that, haven't I lost 10 years? And then they become regretful about the decisions that they took earlier. So mine is just to share from a point of inspiration that you can do much than anything you want to do, so long as it's your vision and your drive. My mantra for being able to balance that is balancing act. I used to write an article on balancing act, by the way, and that was specifically on how I have been able to balance my career as well as my family. I had the privilege, and I call it privilege because it's not everybody that's gone through my route. I had the privilege of having all of my children super young, and even before I started my first job. So you'd find out that it's times 2 for me because I was quite young, extremely young, and I had all of those kids. But what actually worked for me, and that's one of the lessons that I would like to share, is having a very strong and supportive family. I had a supportive family in my husband who put myself and my family first, and he was always there for me. As a matter of fact, I was just speaking with somebody about my daughter who graduated Green Springs. If there were 10 PTAs, he did 8 and I did 2. it was very remarkable because he also had the opportunity, because of his training as an engineer, he taught all of them sciences, physics, waves, chemistry, and every single thing that I didn't have the time to. But because God has also blessed Todd, because he's an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, he is also able to work his time much more than I do. So one of the things that I say, therefore, to women is kindly see that even at home there is collaboration and partnership, because it would make the foundation of family very strong and make it easy for you to grow your career. Suffice it to say also that when I went to do my MBA, he was the only reason that I passed management, finance, and statistics, because he taught me every night through the night and into the morning. So family is a very strong factor with regards to building and developing your career. Then the second I would say is never be intimidated to ask. A lot of times women think that they are, I know too well that we are Amazons and superheroes, because who would be like, Ifeoma has mentioned, wife, mother, doctor, teacher, every single thing in between, and not be an Amazon. We are Amazons. But it's also okay to ask, hey, it's too much for me to do all of this. Please, can you do X, Y, Z for me? Women must learn to be able to ask so that they can get the support that they require, so that you do not get overwhelmed and you do not get drowned and you do not get miserable by not fulfilling the aspirations that you have just because you did not ask. And lastly, also, in converting all of those to opportunity, I've always said to women, be your next woman's best friend. Women do greatly by forming network and opportunities of being there, connecting with one another. I can tell you, we can leave this room in another 2 hours. Men are going to meet again at the Polo Club, and that's because they need to strike a business. But the only reason they may actually call the next person is because they really need to sign the deal. But women are different. It's most likely that the women in this room are going to call Theodora and call Ifeoma to say, oh, you've done very well. How have you done it? I want to learn how you did it. Women have that sort of humility. And so they also have that sort of networking opportunity. So network more. Connect to other women so that they can share their experiences with you. Don't work alone. Don't do it alone. No matter how great you are as a superhuman, it's also important to not walk the walk alone. Connect with other women, deepen your network with them. And there are so many organizations and platforms that's done that extremely well, including Wimbies, where I was executive council member, and we did so much in terms of building platforms. Please find a platform and connect with other people. Thank you.
Awesome. I don't know who else noticed, but when Dr. Chizo was speaking, she has been naming and mentioning all of her achievements, people she's met. And there's something we women, I'm guilty of, I'm still trying to learn not to. When they were introducing me on stage, I was like, is it me that did all those things? Women often tend to shy away from talking about all their accolades. They also feel like it's a bit braggadocious when they speak of it or speak on it, and some of that leads to self-doubt. And this leads to my next question that I'm going to pass to Dr. Ademola and Folashade Hughes. What advice would you give to women who doubt their ability to lead? Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to start this. I would first like to thank the management of BOI for this event. This is really very nice. I have a very great respect for women, I'll tell you, I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. It's only my girl that calls me. The boys don't have my time. That's the truth. My daughter will call me at least twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. Even when I call my sons, for them to return my call is a problem. They always call their mother. And I might be sitting beside my wife when they're talking to her. They will say, let me talk to Dad. They won't even ask after me. So for me, personally, I have a special interest in the female folk. Secondly, I respect women a lot. You know why women are very different? Women are men with a womb. Womb men. That is what woman is called. 70% or 90% of what women go through, if men experience 1% of it, will die. Will not even be able to cope. To be honest, I run a bank today where 90% of my management staff are females. And I tell you, I have a lot of confidence in them. When you also look at it, when you look at results of institutions, people that won prizes or that have done excellently well, is generally the females. The male folk, we are just too I don't know what to use to describe us. Too scattered. You know, when you go to your children's room, look at the females' rooms, the girls' room, and look at the men's room, you see a total difference. Look at the way they do things. Female folk, honestly, I give you kudos. And I believe without you people, the world will be very boring. When I go to my office today and I see all the ladies looking very elegant, nice, looking everything, some of the guys, you see them, you just look at this guy. Like, what's wrong with him? So, first, thanks to the women folk. I appreciate you a lot, and I want to thank management for putting this together. It is really, really very interesting. And I tell you, when you look at contributions that come on board, most of the suggestions that are very, very reliable or that are very actionable come from a female folk, because they're quite meticulous. They plan their thoughts and they execute well. I'll give you an example. Recently, we had a strategy session, and I was going to appoint people that would put together the strategy, objective, and summarize and present to the board. I chose 2 ladies. They did not disappoint me. They did excellently well. Weeks before the board meeting, all the materials were ready. They had come to discuss with me. If I had given it to men, I would have been chasing them. How far? Where are we? When next? But these people did excellent job putting everything together. That tells you the quality of the female folk. That tells you the quality and the level of drive that comes in, with the female folk. Now let's look at it from the question that she had asked. Too many barriers. Cultural, religious, social, even self-imposed. Many of us have been brainwashed or have been treated or have been trained from childhood, many females, to be passive. You cannot afford to be passive. In actual fact, you must talk, you must bring out your voice. So don't be treated as, don't put yourself down. Like something I did in my PhD work, I worked on something called self-efficacy. Your level of self-efficacy, which is the belief in your ability to overcome challenges, must be very high. You are a superhuman being. You can do what a man cannot do. So within yourself, you must first of all believe in your capacity and your ability to do much more than any other person. With that self-efficacy, your ability to withstand challenges, your ability to focus on problems becomes extremely high. So first, believe in yourself. But you cannot believe in yourself if a pot is empty. You cannot give what you don't have. It is from the abundance of your brain that you would speak, that you will write, that you execute whatever you're doing. Which is why I respect what the 2 beautiful ladies sitting on my left and on my right had said earlier. You must develop yourself. You must enhance your competence. And you must always tell yourself, you can do it. That is the first thing that I will say. So don't defeat yourself. Don't look at yourself and see if you cannot do. I believe there is nothing a man can do that a woman cannot do. In actual fact, there is a theory in child psychology called the theory of cephalocaudal development, meaning that the child starts developing from the brain. What forms bulk of the brain of a child is woman matter, not the man's matter. So basically, and when you look at it, go back and look at history and look at genetics. If you marry a very brilliant woman, there's a higher probability that your children will be very brilliant, because children generally inherit the intelligence of their mother. And I've seen it in families. So please, you have what it takes. No matter how people tell you, believe in yourself. I tell my daughter this. Please, you're a super girl. You're a super person. You can excel. You can get the best in every scenario. So first, please believe in yourself. 2, put in the hours. Put in the effort. I know there are challenges. I know there are limitations. Some of these limitations are imposed by people you met on the field, or people you met in the world who believe that a female should be at the back. That is not the way it should be. So please, let's take this and let's work at it and let's excel. Your level of efficacy, self-efficacy, believe in yourself will determine the height that you can achieve. Thank you so much.
Yes, Olashedi.
Hello. Okay, thank you. First of all, let me appreciate the invitation. Dr. Olusi, a very big pleasure to meet you and your team here today. I will also say that I think that the business that I represent here has been the beneficiary of the gender desk. So I think that this event is made for Lakowe Lakes Hospitality Limited, and I'm proud to be here representing that. And I have come across a wonderful set of women and men within the team here. So I'd like a big shout out to Dr. Oruma, to Mrs. Oruma, and her other team members. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you. All right, so as a woman who has actually spent her entire career in a man's world, I would say. I'm an architect, and I'm an architect that has spent, almost my entire career actually on the field. So, architects, we sit down, we dream, we put drawings down and all that, but most importantly, we bring them to life. And how do you do that? You do that on building sites. What's the percentage of women on building sites? I'll tell you. Very, very small. The women, where I started, I started, quite a few years ago. I think I'm almost 40 years in the industry, believe it or not. When I began, the women were who? The people who were making food. On building sites, you wouldn't see any woman at meetings, you wouldn't see any women, in supervisory roles or anything. They would be the ladies who made food on the site, but guess what? That is also a very important role. So I think my first comment on this is that I think women, we should all, embrace our unique voice. And when I say our unique voice, recognize that what your input is as important as everybody else's. I think that it's a mistake to encourage women to compete against men. I don't think it's necessary. I think we should compete against ourselves and be our best self. And when I say compete against ourselves, I'm talking about self, not each other. I think that we should all just strive to be the best of what we can be. I think that we should invest in continuous learning. And this is what would give this is what brings confidence. This is what brings confidence. It enables us to be able to sit at the table, to engage with others on the table, men and women alike. I would also touch on something that our gentleman, Dr. Odeyemi, also spoke about. I think that a woman, we all start off, from our childhood. I think it's very important for all of us to recognize. I'm thrilled about your story, your two young men and your young lady. I think it's very, very important that as we bring up our daughters, we bring them up, to let them understand, to already begin to build their confidence at that stage, so that as they are growing up, they recognize, that they can actually be whatever they want to be. And that does not mean stepping on the toes, or that doesn't mean becoming a man. So I think that's also a very, very important thing. I have two daughters. They're grown up now. I'm a grandmother, twice over. And the sons I never have are now my grandsons. But the most important thing is that my daughters have been brought up to understand that, they can be whatever they want to be. It's important that, we get that confidence right from home. And I think that's extremely important. We've spoken about, I think I also need to touch on mentorship. I think that at the workplace, and as we continue to forge our way, I think it's extremely important for us to connect, to discover mentors, to look around us. Who are those? Women with women as well, because I think that sort of perhaps they may tend to understand the issues, at the workplace, and be more sympathetic to ourselves. So I think it's important for us, for women to find mentors at the workplace, find supportive peers. And when self-doubt creeps in, I think it's always very important to be honest to yourself. I think I have discovered actually that when you are honest about even your own shortcomings to your colleagues around you, it's only a very wicked person that will take advantage of that and make you feel worse. But I tend to feel that people, if you can come out and honestly say, I'm struggling a bit here, or can you please help me here? I think that it also brings out the empathy, and it makes the other person that you're talking to, understand that you're not trying to compete with him or her, but this person is humble enough to come out and say, I need some help. So I think that is also very important for women to be able to reach out, and seek, mentors, both formally and also informally. I'll stop here. I know we have quite a few more questions to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have quite a number of questions to go, and I'd like to implore our panelists to please keep our responses to 2 minutes per response, just so that we can cover all of the questions that we have on here today. Moving on, still for Folashade Hughes and Dr. Ademola, What is one leadership lesson you learned the hard way working with women in the workplace?
Maybe I'll go first this time. Learn the hard way. I would say, first of all, is breaking the silence. Bisola, I really love the fact that you introduced yourself. This is Bisola that we've seen on the screen, and we think, oh, wow, this confident. And she said, you know something, I'm shy. Well, Bisola, if you were telling the truth, I know, so it's amazing, So I would say the first thing is breaking the silence. I think that a lot of women are uncertain, about themselves. Some women are, shy. They're reluctant to speak up, especially in an environment that's male-dominated. Some of it could be, to do with cultural issues or religious issues or, issues of, upbringing and the rest of it. So I think that the point I made in my first discussion was if you can bring up women, to, be confident right from an early age, I think that would help. So breaking the silence is definitely one thing I know that women struggle with. Leadership lesson the hard way. Anyway, that's a point to make. I think that it's also very important that we stand firm with our convictions. If you're convinced about something, you know because why? Because you've educated yourself, because you know what you're saying, you're confident about what you're saying and what you're doing. I think it's important to stand and be assertive at the workplace. Stand with your convictions, and find your ways. It's stakeholder management. Like I said, I think what I want to avoid is, avoid women trying to be men in inverted commas. You don't have to be a combative person, to be taken seriously. I think once, in your own unique way, you can come up, with your reasons, for whatever it is that you believe in, and you can persuade others. I think that is one thing that women perhaps struggle with in the workplace. And if they can surmount that, then it's better. And then perhaps, again, the power of a collective voice. It's not about competing with each other, please. It's definitely not about that. Compete with yourself. I think I've mentioned that. But as a collective, support each other. When you notice, I think women are also very perceptive. I think that this emotional intelligence, perhaps, we were endowed with that right from, our genes. When you notice, when you discover that one of your gender type is maybe a bit nervous or not, that you can pick the vibes up and you can kind of, in whatever way you can assist such a person. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, Bisola, I think I've been quite lucky to have worked with very good women in my career. First, I was raised in a home where I was made to respect the female gender. And that's a failure we are seeing today in most homes. Most parents don't raise their sons to respect the female gender. And it's a major, major problem today. So I think the important thing is, in my own career, I started my career as a lecturer. I went to Athunderson, then where I've worked, I think I've had very wonderful women who have been my bosses, my colleagues, and my subordinates. And I think the way I related with them, based on the training that I had from home and from where I grew up, prevented me from having any issue with anybody. In actual fact, I've had the best of my career with female bosses. I've had the best of my career. Everywhere I've worked, I've had very nice relationship with my female bosses. I think the challenge I will throw to everybody here today is raise your sons well. Don't raise your son to make them feel they are superior. They are not superior in any manner. So please and please, as you are raising your daughters, raise your son to be humble, raise them to respect the female gender. They are not in any way better. That's what I would say. And if we do that, and every mother takes that home and raise the sons to be very disciplined, to do things well, and see the fact that being a male doesn't make you to be better than the female, as the case may be, then we'll have a better society. And even all the expectations that we have for the female folk or for the female gender, as far as breaking the ceiling, there is even no ceiling. There should be no ceiling. What is the difference? We can do everything all together. That's where I think we should do. But today, most average class families are losing out in that area. They're not raising their sons very well. And you see most of the young men that are out there today, when you look at them, even at place of work, find out there's a failure from home, and that we should not allow to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question goes to Ifeoma and Dr. Demola. Dr. Demola, you mentioned that 90% of women are on your management team at Optimus Bank. Now I'm going to ask you both. How can organizations enforce gender-inclusive leadership policies beyond just quotas?
Okay, let me say it this way. You know, I said something earlier. It is only a child that lifts up his or her hand that the mother would carry. If you're coming back from as mommy to the house, and your son is coming up or your daughter is going to say, mommy, welcome, you will carry the child. But if you're coming in and the child is doing, you must be prepared. When you look at it, when you give the equal opportunity to both genders, I tell you from my experience, at least my 35th year in the world of work, the females are generally very prepared. So if you give them equal opportunity, both genders equal opportunity, you would see that you have better results. And I'll tell you, when you look at frauds that happen in the financial services industry, most of the frauds are perpetrated by men. Most of the jobs most of the dropping of balls, errors and mistakes are by men. It is not to say that female folks are not fraudulent. So when they commit the fraud, go and find out it's their husband or their boyfriend or somebody behind them that has pushed them to do it. Either the man is failing in his function at home or the man is pushing. That is the truth. So I think the important thing is to give people the opportunity and let them compete for it. So for me, like I said, I did one recently in December. We had a strategy session, and I gave 2 females the responsibility of reporting the outcome to the board. They did excellent job. 3 weeks before the meeting, they had finished everything. They had come to me to make presentations to me, and I told them, now go and engage the board members. Even before the board meeting, side board meetings had been held. So I think that's the way it is. Again, you must be prepared. You must put yourself in a position where you can be identified. And you know, if you are a star, no matter how much you hate a star, it will always shine. That is the most important thing. And like she said earlier, you're not competing. Just be yourself. Develop that level of efficacy. Even if your management or your organization does not recognize you, the market will recognize you. And I said earlier, it is from the abundance of your brain that the mouth will speak. You cannot give what you don't have. So please, as female folk, I can see some young students here, remind me of my daughter. Please and please, be your best. Take the challenge. Rise up to the challenge. Develop yourself. The market will find you. Even, again, this is a function of how qualitative you are. That will also determine the type of husband you will get at the end of the day. So I think everything works together. Just be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'd also love to hear from Ifoma as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, quotas are good, but I'd like to say that it's deliberate actions, Like you look at BOI today, and my MD here, he's very deliberate about gender. So he starts by listing gender as one of his thematic areas. He starts putting actions around that. So there are gender champions, there are the Amazons, there's a gender desk, there's just so much. He's just very deliberate. Yes, we have targets to reach based on our sustainability framework. We have a target to reach certain percentage of gender both in management and female staff. We're deliberate about actions we're taking. So I think that is also very important. I also think that apart from being deliberate, we also have to make the environment conducive for women to work in. Like I use that example where I would say I'm going home to make a hot meal and you guys are going home to eat a hot meal, because they were all male in my directorate then. They were all male. I was the only female. We also have to make some provision for women. Yes, we also want to be super heroes, super women, but at times it's also good to be empathic, have make provisions for women to thrive in the environment. So that also goes back to being deliberate. So an organization that is deliberate about what you want to do for women, how you want your female gender folks to stand, and how you want to treat them. An organization that is deliberate about it would definitely strike a good balance between having women work for them and getting the results they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we don't have as much time as I hope that we would, so we just have to keep our answers a bit shorter. Our panelists, thank you so much for all of the insight that you're giving us. Dr. Demola, you mentioned that. Thank you. You mentioned that we should raise our sons well, but we can't be in everybody's home at the same time. We don't know. Some people, they try to raise them well at home, but still they refuse to collect raising. So I want to ask now for men. This is also going to go to Ifeoma as well. How can men be better allies in promoting women's leadership?
Okay, thank you so much. A child, when a child is born in a blank slate. His mind is very blank. It's what he sees from home that determines what he does. And the first concentric cycle that a child comes into is a family. So what he observes you, mommy, and daddy do is what to determine what he does. And as he leaves, before he goes to the society, which is the second layer, the foundation must have been laid at home. So what we are seeing truly is a failure of the home today. Yes, you try to raise a child. If you have raised that child from the beginning to be disciplined, to be focused, and you have not spared the rod. I read an article, I know some of you would say it. Firm parents produce the best children. I came across it on social media. Firm parents will always produce best children. So if some of you, because of cultural idiosyncrasies, you felt that a boy should not be smart, a boy should not be disciplined, a boy should be allowed to, you are just destroying everything. Such a child will never collaborate with anybody. Because what he saw from home is where daddy sits down, puts his leg on his table, mommy runs up and down, and daddy continues to scream. That is not the way to do it. So a child is a reflection of home. A child, anything you see outside, even at World of Work today, when I see people, I know the type of home they come from. And that is all of us in this room. He must be deliberate. How come would you say a child doesn't want to listen to me? Where are you coming from? Who is your father? It will not even happen. So I think the important thing is for us to be firm in our parenting method. And we don't wait until they are ossified. There are certain stages in a child's life where certain skills, certain cultural values, certain emotional aspirations must be taught to them. When we fail at that stage, it's a failure all through life. So I think important thing, I know we are working, I know we are busy, and I know some of us leave our children with house helps or domestic servants who have disadvantaged background. But we see we must create time. We must make sure we make that effort so that at least we know that we play. It doesn't mean that they won't follow what you say anyway. Particularly children of these days, as we are telling them something, they are checking it on Google to see whether what you are saying is correct, which was not in existence when we were growing up. Today, as I tell my sons, that's not correct. How can I tell my dad I wasn't correct when he was alive? I could not have done that. I think the important thing is we as parents, parenting is one of the most difficult things to do. You must be deliberate about it. You must be firm, and you must be assertive. Children have a way of building things around you. If you don't know, they will run rings around you and your husband or your wife, and they will get things done. So I think it's important for us to know, for our males to be well behaved, we must not tolerate anything that we know is not right, and we must teach them right. That's where I think we should go. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's have Ifeoma quickly answer her question, and we're going to go into the Q&A. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, just kindly raise up your hands. Our lovely host would come over to you with a microphone, and then you get to ask your questions. Thank you.
Okay, just simply put, I think basically what we need is understanding, collaboration, and talking. If you're in a workplace and the men, you don't seem to understand where they are coming from or where they are going to, then you cannot work well with them. Same for the women too. What happens really is that when you work with your male folks, let them see where you're coming from. Lack of excuses. So I talked about saying, I'll keep using that example because it really helped me a lot. I'm going home to make a hot meal and versus I'm going home to eat a hot meal. It was a joke then, but they saw where I was coming from. And when I'm in those meetings, I also make sure I deliver. I also make sure to also attend to that other part of my life. So basically, I think that what would actually help is for men to cooperate more with the women to collaborate more with them, and for understanding to exist between the two the male and the female gender. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to be taking only 3 questions. If you have any question, please raise your hand. While we're waiting for, do we have someone? Everybody is going to answer this one question, okay? If you had to describe your leadership style as a Nigerian dish or any cultural dish, what would it be and why? Let's start with Dr. Chizo.
Does this work? Okay, yes, thank you very much. Okay, Nigerian dish. I'll describe myself as afang soup. Does anybody know afang soup? So why? Why is because if you do not have the privilege of eating afang soup in Uyo, please go to Uyo. You've got a bowl of soup that's got a potpourri of very fresh fish out from the sea, other seafood like periwinkles, snails, and all that. Now, what that does is a mixture of so much to bring out the best of taste. And the reason is my leadership style is I love to collaborate with people. I love to bring people to the table, and everybody knows that. Irrespective of age and gender, I believe that we could always work together. From where I work at FITC, I have always ensured that there are other people in the room and on the table, and giving both female and the young people a chance. I do know that we have a few here, directors, Dr. Agbato, Dr. Esther and Duyum, and of course an extremely young James, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Folashade, what is your style of leadership? What Nigerian dish would that be?
Okay, I would like to describe myself as moi moi elemi meje. So, and why? So I believe that what I bring to the table is a blend. Okay, so moi moi, how do we make moi moi right? Number one, it's a process. It's a result of a process. So I am a result of a process, and the work I do is always the result of a process. What is it made up of? It's made up of a blend. First of all, of beans, pepper. I asked my colleagues this, by the way. I said, what do you guys think? And they came up with all sorts of answers, But that pepper came out, so I thought, I'm not that bad now. You know what I'm saying? So we joked about that. But I think that, moi moi is a combination, is a blend, first of all, of ingredients. That blend becomes a whole. So it's no longer beans separate, tomatoes separate, and pepper separate. It becomes a homogeneous whole. I think I see myself as that. But the elemi meje also comes into where there's several various different, how do I say, tactics, values I bring on board, approach I bring where necessary. So that's where the elemi meje comes, where you add, so many other things that, makes it a whole. So that's my...
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Ifoma?
Okay, so I would say asaro. I don't know if I said it well.
Yes, you did. Asaro?
Yes, I'll say asaro. When you want to boil yam, it's hard. Then you put it into the pot to make asaro. It's a combination of so many different things. So at times you don't know whether the yam is sweet, whether it's bitter. The ingredients you put is also a combination of different things. So you can have all the lovely seafood, you can have dry fish, you can have different things. And I like to look at my leadership style as being all-encompassing, adventurous, empathic, but yet very firm. So in all of that, I understand that, but I also have to be firm in things that I get to do. So that's how I like to describe my leadership style. Thank you.
Thank you, Foma. And Dr. Demola?
Okay, I'm a Niger shaman. Okay, I'm a Niger shaman. And as a Niger shaman, there's food. And that's the king of food. That's food. And that's the king of food. That's pounded yam with a 4 euro. As they were describing the food, I was salivating. I hope management of BOI is going to give us nice pounded yam this afternoon, or asaro, or ID kaiko, or whatever it is. Anyway, or asaro, or ID kaiko, or whatever it is. Anyway, fatty oil and acids. Then there is a 4. plus meat acids. Then there is a 4, plus meat and everything that gives us a protein. So it's a balanced diet. So at all times, I look at things, I lead from a very balanced angle. When you look at things from a very balanced angle, you achieve the ultimate result. The pivot element is actually attaching or getting to the soul of it. Pounded yam has a soul. When you do it well, when you pound it well and you eat it well, you feel very relaxed and you go to bed. It gives you peace. So if your leadership style is good, like a well-done pounded yam with a 40 roll, you can actually go to bed and relax. And then, you have sweet dreams. So when you have the nice leadership style, everything, everybody will support you and you're very successful. Thank you so much.
Dr. Ademola, now I know why your sons don't answer you. Dr. Ademola, now I know why your sons don't answer you. You always finish all the effort. Okay, we have almost come to the end of this session, but before we go, just one last question, and I'll just ask us to please, in one word, just in one word, tell us a small daily habit that helps you stay motivated and empowered. Just one word. Something maybe we could all emulate. Let's start with Folashade. One word.
Word prayer, because I don't want that to be misinterpreted. Wisdom is something that once you have wisdom, you are wise to many different things, stakeholder management and the rest. So, in a phrase, sorry, Bisola, it's not one word, but I pray for wisdom.
Yeah, Thank you very much.
I walk 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and count my 20,000 steps while praying to God and doing my praise and worship and listening to Nathaniel Bassey. Thank you.
Wow.
Well, mine is equity. Because everything I do, my conscience, bites me or hurts me. So I believe that the only way I can have a very good conscience every day before I sleep is to be sure that everything I've done during the day is equitable. Because equity brings fairness, gives everybody opportunity to be at the table. So my one word that drives me on a daily basis is equity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would say I pray for peace. And so when I say peace, I ask for peace in all that concerns me. My life, my family, my children, my health, my work, my colleagues, my office. I ask for peace around everything. And I like peace around me. Okay, so I'll say peace.
Peace. Thank you very much. Before we ask you to stand up, one question has just come in, so please be prepared to answer it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone,
Good
and
morning.
Thanks for the great session. I just thought to utilize the opportunity to ask a question where there's no other questions. This especially is for Ms. Hughes and Dr. Ademola. You mentioned about competition and competing and always trying to strive to do better. In a world where you're in leadership, not even in leadership, you work in an organization and the men are competitive. They want to compete with you. How do you, go through the motions through that as a woman? I'm not saying BOI, that's what we're not optimally where we should be. I prior to now, I worked in an organization where competition does not even come in any sentence because the men want us to win. You can't compete with somebody who is always pushing you and wants you to win. So when you get to other organizations or other gatherings or community where the men are constantly competing with you, where the men do not want you to win, where the men do not want you to shine, can you share how we can navigate that as women? Thank you.
Can I go first? Okay, I think the important thing I said earlier is that be yourself. See, no matter how much you try to compete, you just hurt yourself at the end of the day. I said something earlier. Develop a high level of self-efficacy. It's like the level of intelligence that you have inherited from your parents, your genes. Optimize that gene. Achieve the peak of what you can achieve. It doesn't mean that they might see it or they might not see, but satisfy your conscience that you have done your best. Life is not all about competition. It is not how early that determines how successful you become. In actual fact, there is a joke that we always throw around, that if you have a group of friends, say 4 or 5 friends, the first person to buy a car amongst them would have bought an old model. Because by the time the last person is buying, you will have bought the newer model. So I think the important thing is be yourself. Just, you have your KPIs. You have what you are meant to do. Just do it. And I'll tell you, in a typical organization where management is very serious and committed, you know who is working and you know who is playing politics. You know who is hypocritical. You know who is coming to bootlick. You would know. So if, provided you are running a very thorough and very disciplined organization where there is governance. So in an organization where goals and results are to be achieved, they would see he or she as a boss would know who is in the work. So you are not competing. Just be yourself, deliver on what you are meant to deliver, and don't be political. Because it doesn't help. If you are very political with Mr. A might not be there tomorrow. Somebody else might come tomorrow. Your job will definitely stand you out in what you are doing. There's no competition. You are competing with yourself. Be the best you can be. Deliver the best you can deliver. Perfect your processes. Let there be no errors or things that can be taken against you. Just be yourself. And don't get involved in office politics. You be the best you can be. Thanks.
Hello. Okay, Dr. Odeyemi has said it all, but I'm just going to add to it that, look, it's a game that they're playing with you. Don't play that game with them. It's a game that is calculated to destabilize you. It's a game that's calculated to distract you. So don't be distracted. Don't play that game. They know what they're doing. People like that have no, at the end of the day, your consistency, your self-assurance, you're doing what you know, and you apply wisdom is what I will also say as well. But don't play the game. They know what they're doing. People like that know what they're doing. Don't be distracted, because you'll just be frustrated. You'll just, they'll distract you is all I can say, and then they'll have their way. I believe people like that are not many, I hope. We've had, we've heard evidence, we've seen what's happening in the corporate world and other, so I would just say, don't worry. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry. Don't play the game. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to jump on this one, so I take your time just because I'm definitely going to have sleepless night if I don't say this. And that's because, I've also grown in corporate for such a long time, and I see quite a lot of people here, young, middle, senior. It's a real thing. Men are very competitive, period. Young men wake up wanting to have the best cars than their friends. True?
True.
Young men make all their investments to have a bigger home than their friends. True?
True.
And even in the world of work, men are very competitive. So we can't pretend that does not happen. But the fact is that men are also so competitive that they want to outshine every single person within the organization, especially when they're growing up and they want to become managers and senior managers and DMs early enough. And because this is a women's program, it's important that we speak to the truth with regards to what then can women do in the environment where they are that is very competitive. Number one, build yourself up so much that you are the best in what you do. So you stand out and be visible and speak to what you do. I speak about this because a lot of times, Babatunde is not doing the work. Iyabo is the one doing the work. And in that meeting, they're saying, oh, who is going to be able to XYZ? Babatunde will say, I. He doesn't even know how to do it. He would go back to say, Iyabo, let's crunch these figures now so we can give it to them tomorrow. Is that not true? And Iyabo goes back, she's done all the work, she passes on to Babatunde, and he goes back and he's taking the shine. Women, speak up. Take the shine, beam the light on you, be proud of your work, and speak about your accomplishments. And that's called what? Visibility. Be visible in the great things so people know that you have made significant input and impact to the process. And so let's not think that just by being, things would happen. Because at the end of the day, it's Babatunde who brought the worksheet into the boardroom that is going to be known. Because everybody who asks is saying, oh, that Babatunde, he's so good, he speaks very well. Meanwhile, Iyabo is doing all the work, and that's such a fact. I'll also let you know this, and please let that work in your minds, young people, whether we're growing up, we're in the middle career, or even our senior level. Have you noticed that so many times, even women on their own give their credit to other people? And so if you're asking who is going to do the tough part, they are nominated. Who is going to lead the XYZ? They are the ones nominating the men. Meanwhile, if all of the potentials that you do have, speak up.
Yes.
Speak up, take the roles. People assign more roles to you because you were successful in the role that you had already led. So speak up. And then lastly, which is also very important, and that's around the imposter syndrome that you had asked, Bisola. Do you know that a lot of women, and so many women for that matter, would never, ever speak up in the audience, and they go back after the meeting and say, that is what I wanted to say. Hello, say it there. No one is going to kill you. Lastly, men steal your thunders. After the women has done all the hard work, men come to the open and start to speak about it. And that's a fact. And I'll give you a common example. You had done a lot of work in a committee with Tunde. At the end of the day, the same thing that you had shared with Tunde, he comes in the public and speaks about it like it's his work and credit. I have also taught a lot of women that I mentor. You can say, oh yeah, Tunde, what you said is true. That's actually what I just mentioned to you about 5 minutes ago. And I'm so convinced and I believe that it's true. And then take it on from there and establish yourself. It's a fact. Women, the world is competitive. Be visible, be open, take your seat, take your reign, and speak up all the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Remember, don't be a Tunde. And if a Tunde is around you, call him out. Thank you very much to our panelists. Can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you so much for all the wisdom that you've shared today. Please, we can usher them back to their seats.
No,
Thank
please,
you.
can we have the panelists on stage while the EDs join them for a picture session?
Please, can we do the International Women's Day pose? The Accelerate Action pose. Right. Right. Thank you very much.
Again. Thank you very much. Can we please give a round of applause for our panelists to their seats? Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you very much for that wonderful panel session. We proceed. Hello, ladies. Are we still together? Are we still together? If you're beautiful, say hi. If you think you are very beautiful, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, wonderful. You know, I promised you at the start of today that we're going to learn so much today. I don't know about you, but I learned so much. The wisdom that was shared on this stage today, I don't know, it's unparalleled to none, and it's something that that applies to us, each and every one of us seated in this room as working class ladies. They shared nuggets of wisdom that if we apply into our daily lives, there's no stopping you from succeeding and getting to the top. So let's give a round of applause, and I appreciate the panelists. Job well done on their session. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's get right into the next activity for today. There are voices that rise, voices that echo truth, challenge knobs, and ignite change. Today, we are privileged to witness the power of words as they dance in the rhythm and weave stories of resilience, strength, and beauty. This next artist doesn't just speak, she paints with her voice, shaping the very fabric of our shared journey.
She's a master of storytelling, a poet of profound impact, and a voice for those whose stories demand to be heard. Let us open our hearts to the transformative magic of spoken word as we welcome to the stage the incredibly talented Ivy Quake. A round of applause. We can do better.
Good morning, everyone. I believe it's afternoon now, but hello, everyone. Good morning. Oh, thank you very much. So I just need your attention for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. Do you mind? Oh, I love that. Okay, thank you. DJ. The woman is nobody's mate. And I'm not talking similitude with Babangida's age. Not an inmate to be locked behind bars. This is not orange. Is a phenomenon. Do you agree? So the woman is an incubator who wants so much more. Someone please tell this woman it's okay to dream. Bigger than Martin Luther King. A doctor degree is too small for her PhD. Someone please tell her it's okay to limb. To hop on opportunities like Sue. She may not run faster than Sonic, but she has the flash drive. They can't corrupt her system when she's the firewall. Rattle hand, she becomes a thunderstorm. Someone please tell her she's bigger than big. And this is a good time to mention that gender disparity in education is why the girl child is often overlooked and only known for the other role. But the girl child is too underage to be sent into bedrooms when she needs a classroom. To learn, be inspired, dream, break boundaries and say Odeshi. See, this woman can stand tall, look at the stars and see no difference. See, they call us women, but we are not items to be bought with notes or heroes. We are bold, black, and audacious. Audacious not because they want us to be tender. Softer than lips the night before, they want us to bend. Break our backs like Atilogu dancers. They want us to komole, in hopes that we would rise as they beat their drums. See, they want us to drown, but they forget that we are water, so we can't. Do we not know that we are fire? We're the flame that keeps the nation awake. The signal of smoke that speaks into industries. While the talking drum beating with dexterity loud enough to cause villages to stand still. While a fire flagging its flames like a call to action, so I dare nations to not listen as you come to action. See, we raise a glass to every woman who has a story to tell. Women who have dreams too complex for the wise. Women who have been silenced, but sometimes silent is unwise. Women whose voices quake the earth and carry a tsunami within. Women who are as passionate as emotions. Women whose feet express techniques, who can shapeshift like mystic, become anything they want. Women who chase the bag unapologetically. Women who are competent and effective. Women who strive, push, fall, but rise. See, the quake in our mother's bellies announced the revolution, that a woman must surely be born. And then you appeared. Thank you.
What a talented, inspiring young lady she is. Can we all agree that that was amazing? Please, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much. You know, when I see talent like that, I always wonder, what is my own talent? Mooncake, what's your talent?
Kosi, why did you need to drag me into this? I think I know my talent. Did you know my talent? Does anyone want to take a quick guess what my talent is? Thank you so much, Ma. My talent is, you see these shoes? I can wear even longer the whole day, morning till night, and my feet wouldn't even feel it.
That's great.
That's one of my talents. I have
That's
other
great.
ones. Kosi, what's yours?
My talent? I think I am an amazing singer. Like the likes of Beyonce, Adele, Celine Dion. Imagine all three of them in one. My biggest stage though is my bathroom, so nobody's going to ever hear me sing. Okay, let's play a quick game, okay? We're going to do Guess the Woman. We're going to give you 3 women and give you clues as to who we're referring to. Are we ready?
We need to take this game seriously because you all know that BOI is fantastic at giving gifts. We give fantastic gifts, and we have really, really nice gifts for people that guess the women that we're going to describe on stage right now.
Okay. Are you ready? This global superstar is not only known for her powerful voice and chart-topping hits, but also for her unmatched influence in the music industry. She's a vocal advocate for social justice, feminism, and empowering women of color. She has pushed boundaries in both music and culture. Adding to her list of achievements is her Grammy for Album of the Year. No chorus answers.
Chorus answers, no?
No chorus.
Okay. This beautiful
media. Why?
Wait.
Why?
Someone here. Wait. Oh, media. The person manning the media stand is Tunde. His name is Tunde. Okay. No chorus answers. We're going to take the second person. Tunde, please. No expo. This author has captivated the world with her powerful storytelling and insightful commentary on identity and societal issues. Her works have earned her global recognition and numerous awards. She's a passionate voice for gender equality and cultural understanding. After a 10-year hiatus, she recently released a body of work.
Okay, we have an answer here.
Okay.
Okonjo Iweala.
Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie, no.
Who else wants to try?
Chimamanda Adichie.
Oh, okay. Do we think she got it? Yes, Chimamanda Adichie.
That's correct. Media, this is when you're now supposed to put the person on the screen.
You see Tunde. Oh.
Okay, let's do the last one. We're going to bring this one home, okay?
This one will be really hard.
Her career dates back to AIT, where she worked as a health correspondent and news editor. She has a number of licenses and certifications from reputable institutions like the Lagos Business School, Harvard Extension School, among others. She was recognized by the PR Power List 2024. She's a positive vibe enthusiast, and above all, she's a fashionista.
Okay. I'm surprised I'm seeing so many hands up. Okay, Amy. Okay, we have someone here. No, I'm not going to do this rule again. Sorry, guys. Somebody is raising her hands. Okay, you know, this person is very... let me see.
Adisa Ayomi.
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic.
Please meet Mr. Jide Shikwe for your gifts.
I'm sorry. We know we already took someone on this road, so we had to, I'm sorry. Not me being a Tunde. Okay, so we are, the first panel session was remarkable. If you enjoyed it, please put a round of applause for the panelists again, because they were really sensational, and I really appreciate the conversations and everything they spoke about here. If you thought that was good, wait till you see what we have in store for you on the second panel session. So please, let's rejig our energy as we invite Bisola back on stage to introduce the panelists for the second session to us. A round of applause, ladies, please. A round of applause.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for being here with us still. I think we have refreshments afterwards, but I think I saw some ladies drinking cocktail. Some people, Abby? Mocktail. Channels, did you catch that? Yes. Mocktail. All right, it's time for our second panel, and the theme for this particular panel is the future of work, women thriving in the digital economy. Coming up to the stage first is Adedayo Aderugbo, the Divisional Head, Management Services, Bank of Industry. Adedayo Aderugbo is a General Manager and Divisional Head, Management Services at the Bank of Industry, and she has over 20 years' experience in the banking industry, spanning legal, compliance, company secretarial, and general management. Prior to joining the Bank of Industry, she served as the Head of Corporate Affairs and Brand and Marketing at Standard Chartered Bank for Nigeria and West Africa. Dayo is an alumni of Obafemi Awolowo University, where she obtained a law degree with honors. She's a barrister at law, having also received a BL degree from the Nigerian Law School. She holds a master's degree in law from the prestigious University College, UCL, University of London, and has completed an executive MBA from the Metropolitan School of Business and Management in the UK. She also has an MBA from Rushford Business School, Switzerland, and is currently undergoing a PhD in business risk management. Thank you. Our second panelist for today is Damilola Olokeshusi, CEO and co-founder, Shotlers. Damilola, the applause, please, let it be louder. She has saved many lives. Damilola Olokeshusi is the co-founder and CEO of Shotlers, Nigeria's leading technology-driven shared mobility startup. With a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Lagos, Damilola brings extensive experience in process engineering to her role. Her passion for addressing socio-economic challenges in her community led to the founding of Shotlers, a company dedicated to transforming urban mobility. Under her guidance, Shotlers has raised $5.6 million in equity funding and is poised to expand into more metropolitan cities across Africa. Damilola's innovative leadership has earned her significant recognition, including being named a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree for technology in 2019. Damilola Olokeshusi. Hope I pronounced that right. Thank you. Our third and final panelist for today is Dr. Stanley Jacob, CEO Zest and President of the FinTech Association of Nigeria. Dr. Stanley Jacob is a FinTech executive and business leader with a strong drive for platform orchestration, nurturing startup, driving innovation, partnerships, and financial inclusion. He is currently the Chief Executive of Zest, formerly Stanbic IBTC Financial Services Limited, the wholly owned fintech subsidiary of Stanbic IBTC Holdings PLC. He is the President and Chairman of the Governing Council for FinTech Association of Nigeria, VP West African for the African FinTech Network, past Chairman of the Committee of E-Business Industry Heads of Nigeria, and currently a member of the Advisory Council of CEBIH. Stanley is also a member of the Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, and sits on the FinTech and Innovation and Capacity Building Committees of the Council. Dr. Stanley Jacob. Thank you to our panelists for being here. This is the second panel. Hello. Okay, great. We're going to please be short with our sessions because the time that we have for this particular panel discussion is not as long as the previous one. So let's keep all of our answers really, really short, please. 2 minutes per question, and hopefully we'll be able to touch on everything. Again, the theme for this particular panel is the future of work, women thriving in the digital economy. And my first question goes to Dr. Stanley Jacob. Dr. Stanley, what skills do you think are most crucial for women to thrive in the digital economy?
Thank you. I'll try to start 2 minutes. Okay. First, to thank you all for having me here today. First, to thank you all for having me here today, and especially to the leadership of BOI. First, before responding to that question, I would like to lay a background to say BOI, as Nigeria's premier development finance institution, sits as a point of intersection between opportunity and responsibility when it comes to this conversation. And before I respond to the question specifically, it's good for us to understand where we are with women today. First, I will touch on labor. We're 48% female, 59%, 48% female when you compare to male. When you look at enterprises, companies, you find out that you have about 41% when you look at micro business, some now nano business, very small, and you have about 20% small and medium, then 15% large. So as you go to the bigger organizations, the percentage of women it thins out. Financial inclusion is still 38% women excluded, 24% men. And if you look at agriculture, which is a very funny one, is when you look at our farmlands today, over 70% of the women, the people working on the farms are women, but women own less than 10% of the land. So it's important we see this, because if you're not on the table, then it brings us to the question which talks about the skills. So this whole stats, or where we are now, shows a lot of headroom and opportunities for women, and there are some skill set that needs to be developed. I'll just touch on 4 broad areas. One is data literacy. We need women to develop skills on data literacy, particularly how do you analyze businesses, how do you collect data and interpret it, how do you transform opportunities into some commercially viable outcomes. That's one area where we need women to build skills, to be present. I think in the first panel, Dr. Chizo hit that question on the head. You have to be present. You have to come on board with something. There is no such thing as waiting for anything to come to you. Second is human-centered abilities. How do we get more women training up on critical thinking and getting to work in areas of strategy? We need more women in that area. And third is learning on learning, right? Because of what there's what they call the time poverty that happens to women. You know, a lot of people talked about childbirth and the rest, but it's called time poverty. That time in your path where you have to give birth, leave work, come back, you know, and when you look at even at home, the distribution of work and women having to do a lot in the house chores, how do we ensure that women continue to learn and unlearn to close that gap? Because especially in the digital space, things are moving very fast. Before you go away for 9 months and come back, it's a whole new thing. So you need to be refreshed. That also speaks to financial literacy. Then lastly is on communicating and networking. You know, I don't have to hammer on that. Dr. Chizo already spoke about it. You need to speak. You need to build a global network. You have to be present. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any people in the room that work remotely? No remote working? The hybrid. Hey, you are part of remote now. Anybody working hybrid? Raise your hands. Let's see. Let's see the number. Okay, fuel is not really expensive in your house. All right. So my question here goes to Dio and also Damilola. How has remote work changed opportunities for women in tech and leadership? Dio, please go first. Thank you.
Thanks, Bisola. As you see, there were very few hands that were raised when you asked that question. So I'd like to rephrase it to how can remote and hybrid working help? At BOI, we have 1 day in 2 weeks where we work from home. So I'll use not what it should be, I'll use my experiences, how it's helped me. Where I worked previously, I worked 3 or 2 days from home. As a woman, I take that to be part of actually what grew my character, grew my career. And I must go back to say this was before COVID. So my organization was actually futuristic. We encourage agile and flexi work, actually to save money. Not that they liked us so much, because little things like tissue, water, saves money for the bank when you're not in the office. But to take advantage of it, it helped me because I was able to juggle so many things clearer and better. I choose not to use the word balance because I don't believe there's any balance for a woman. We can juggle. There are times that work takes precedent, lives take precedent. But hybrid and working from home helped me juggle the work and the life better. And it's also important as a woman that at different stages of your career and in life, there are different things you want. When I had that opportunity, my children were younger. It gave me the opportunity to be at home when they come back from school. It gave us the opportunity while I'm working on my laptop, they can sit in the same space with me and do their homework, which prior to then we didn't have. At this stage in my career, my children are older. I'm an empty nester, apart from play with my dog. I would rather be at home, be at work. And also important when we talk about hybrid, working from home, let's be truthful to ourselves as women. It is very expensive to work from home. What is the organization asking you to work from home? What are they doing to support your work from home? If I'm in the office, I have AC all day. I don't have to turn on my gen, right? Right? Yes. If I'm in the office, I'm using the office internet. I don't have to use, in fact, I'm using the office tissue and coffee and water. I don't have to use my own at home. So I think what is important is the benefit of that work from home and the support we get as women to work from home. It has benefited me immensely during different stages of my career when I needed the home front and being in the office. And the world is global. We live in a global world right now. I could as well have a job in DC and I'm doing 2 jobs in BOI and doing my work in DC. So the opportunities are limitless. Limitless on hybrid, and not just for women, for everyone, a man, a woman. It's what you make of it, and also more importantly, what the organization you're working for, the enabling effects and the enablers they put in place for you to thrive digitally. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Dio. Over to you, Dami.
Okay, so for me, I'm an advocate for the hybrid work because for fully remote work, I think it has its pros and cons. I'll start with the fully remote work. As a young tech lady, you can live anywhere, whether it's Ekiti State, where I'm from, or Osho State, or wherever, and be working. You can have clients in the US, in India, or in the UK, and you'll be earning, in dollars, right? We have developers at Shotlands, for example, that don't live in Lagos, and they're able to perform their duties remotely. But the disadvantage for women is that there are some opportunities that you'd be able to get when you have physical interaction with your colleagues at work. That you will not be able to, get by maybe learning or being mentored by your managers. Even for the organization, we see that there might be less productivity at some type of jobs. If it's fintech that doesn't need too much physical activity. But for a company like us that we're in tech transport industry, we do need people to have physical presence in the office. And so if it's fully remote, there will be times where the individual will not be, productive. So for the other side, which is hybrid, this is where I think that it will bring balance. And he also mentioned opportunities where women sorry.
Do you want the question again?
Yes, thank you.
How has remote work changed?
Sorry, I remember.
Has remote work changed opportunities for women in tech and leadership?
Yes, I was trying to remember the opportunities for women that have 9 months at home. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. My brain is really flustered now. And when you're at home and you just get back to your children and you're trying to get back to work, and you would see opportunities online that would help you leverage or equip yourself. Sorry, I am flustered.
That's fine. That's fine.
Maybe we should just come back to me.
We'll come. Fantastic. Don't worry. We'll come back to you with another question. Thank you. So I'm going to take this to Dr. Stanley. In your opinion, what does the ideal future of work look like for women? Tunde's at the back. Well done.
Thank you, Bisola. So looking at the ideal future of work for women, first I'll take it up from where we stopped at flexi work, right? And it still brings it down to the need for flexible work arrangements. And this should be the foundation as we move on into the future. You cannot overemphasize the idea of motherhood penalties, which we've been talking about since morning. And these motherhood penalties come from that path where women are off and on or at work, right? How do we apply this flexibility? How do we ensure that it doesn't affect their path to growth, their promotion, and it's not being discounted as part of their experience? And then it brings me to the second point, which is having to economically recognize the time of work. So when a woman is at home for 3 months, 4 months, how do we economically recognize it? Whether she's taking care of a child, sometimes it's not just children that keep women at home. Sometimes it's elders, it's the community members that are sick and have been dumped in their house for them to support. How do we economically value this and say, just like when you have gap period, and we count these things as part of experiences for women. These are areas that we need to explore. The third is looking at leadership decision making. Women are very good in collaboration. So we see the future of work going more into collaborative decision making. So we'll need to do this more with women. And it brings us back to the first panel where we talked about men supporting women. So we need to see a future of work where decision making is equal between men and women in organizations. Number 4 is technology. Technology is helping a lot with inclusion and helping to take away the biases. So those places where just the physical workplace tend to alienate people, today we have access, women have equal access to these tools, especially in the urban areas. It might not be so in the rural areas because we are still improving, but we think technology has promoted inclusion a lot. So when we say women should speak up, so technology also gives a lot of room, diverse opportunities for women to speak. I talked about lifelong learning. The need to continue to learn is another part we cannot overemphasize. The learning helps you to close the gaps that you've lost. The learning also helps you to gain new skills to always be at the top and be positioned for higher opportunities. Finally, it's more about how do we ensure that the future of work takes care of the mental health of the woman. So we need to balance out the mental health because most times we listened in the first panel where the speaker said the men will always say the children are distracting the women. but the men always claim to own the children. You know, so it's tricky. So we need to ensure that the workplace is meant to accommodate the mental health and also balance the stress for the woman. This will also help the woman to kind of deal with the things, the multifaceted activities that they are involved in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, Damilola. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Love it. All right, Damilola, how can we encourage more women to take up leadership roles in the tech sector? 5.6 million. That's not a small feat, so tell us more.
One of the reasons why my brain is frustrated because in 3 hours' time I have a board meeting. So I'm preparing for different things at the same time. So sorry. So the first question, the opportunities for remote work, fully remote work versus hybrid work. So I said I was an advocate for hybrid work because you would have the opportunity to liaise with people, because there's something about having physical meetings. And I'll give an example. So when we were fundraising, this was just immediately after COVID. This was 2021. And because I'd spent 4 years bootstrapping, when we started with the idea stage, I tried to raise funds, and nobody believed that we could do what we're trying to do. And then in the next 4 years, we grew our attractions, our revenue, our KPIs, and immediately after COVID, we started fundraising. So people were doing meetings on Zoom, and one of the investors, which was a female investor, then told me that on the calls I didn't have my video on, and I wasn't so excited about the opportunity. And then she flew down from Kenya and had a 2-hour coaching session with me at Terra Culture, and told me that beyond my KPIs, beyond the traction that the company has made, I need to have that physical connection with the investor, because it's beyond just trying to get a partner on board. They need to also like the founder. So I realized that there are some disadvantages on working fully remote, and that there are advantages on having that physical interaction, that you would get more value by interacting with either your investor or your boss or your manager or your colleague, whether male or female, that I think that hybrid work will bring. So even if you'll be able to access global opportunities through remote work, you can work from anywhere, you can even do 2 or 3 jobs, but it also has its disadvantages as well. So I'm an advocate for hybrid work. So the second question is
how can we encourage more women to take up leadership roles in the tech sector? Yes,
this one I'm coming for BOI. So I think that the more women you see succeeding, let's start with the entrepreneurs. The more women you see getting funding, for example, getting support, the more millennials, Gen Zs, who see the reason why they should be in STEM. Because if you are saying, being in STEM, study engineering, and you're saying that there's nobody up there that they can look at to see that they will succeed. If you count the top 10 tech companies now, and you say, what are the top 10 countries in the world? Who are the founders? You mentioned Facebook, you mentioned Amazon, you mentioned Elon Musk. Before you remember that there's a female founder, you have to crack your head. And it's all of the factor is, okay, how are they getting funding? Because you mentioned something around not seeing women at the top when it comes to agri-tech companies. You wonder why are these women working, but they're not able to get to the top? It's because of access to funding. So I think that for business owners, for founders, to encourage more women to come to that leadership position, they need to access more funding. The funders need to also create some kind of quota system, or some kind of opportunities that they will be deliberate about funding women. For the corporate side, it's that you need to see more women win in those organizations. You need to see, because that's where they will be able to bring up other women as well. And the last thing is that women in leadership as well need to bet on other women. I've been fortunate enough to be a product of women that bet on me. The 2 rounds that we raised, they were not gender-led, they were not gender funds, but they were led by female GPs, like female investors, and they were deliberate about saying that we're going to bet on Dami, and we're going to ensure that she gets this fund. So that's the 3 points I'd like to make.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to Dio. Dio, what are the biggest barriers preventing women from fully thriving in the digital economy?
Thank you. I would piggyback on Dami's answer. I think in a third world, in developing countries, let's not use third world like ours, there's so many barriers to womanhood. There's so many barriers to being female. And technology should not be one of those barriers where we fight and we break ourselves to pass as women. Objectively, with the government, even Nigerian government, there's access for women. I know currently Galaxy Backbone is doing a 90K fiber optics into the villages so that there's access. Everybody, the unbanked, the underserved, can have access to technology. I think the biggest barrier we have is who is pushing us, who is supporting us. It is accessible. I've not seen any product, even courses for men. I've not seen any product or any course that they say for men only. Has anybody seen? Engineering, they don't say for men only, it's equal opportunities. The fiber optics going to my mother's village, which is Ekiti, by the way, going to my village does not say for men only. It is accessible, but how do we access it? I think that's the issue with us as women. And to piggyback on what you said, I feel a lot of mentorship programs, women programs, there are quite a few that we all, rush and thrive to. But where is the sponsorship program? Where is the coaching program? And we don't need to have an institution to do that. Some of the women here use AI so well. Who has called on another woman to teach them? Who has called on another woman to say your meetings can be more efficient if you use this tool? Who has shared other tools that we have that has helped us, even at home? I have a tool that helps me know when the food is finishing, what food I need to quickly buy. That's all use of technology. Who has shared those things? Somebody shared with me, I share with people. So I think as women, the gap we have is sponsorship. Who is sponsoring us, not who is mentoring us. Anybody can mentor anyone. We can reverse mentor. Who is coaching us? And after the coaching, who is sponsoring us? So I won't say the opportunities are not there. I won't say the access is not there. I won't say Stanley and Co. are not doing a great job with fintech. It is there. But as women, who is pushing us? How are we pushing ourselves? And nobody is limiting us. I think that's one thing I'm trying to make clear. There's a limit. Everybody says, oh, as a girl child, as a woman. No, nobody is limiting you. I have 2 teenage children, in fact, 17 and 14, and I don't see gender at home. They eat the same food. They have the same chores. They go to the same school. They play the same sports. In fact, the girl is almost stronger than my son because that gender barrier was not there from the beginning. So it's also for us as we bring up the new generation. And lastly, when you say future workforce, the barriers to the future workforce, what is the future leadership? What is future work? The future of work is in the 10 and 15-year-olds right now. The future of work is right here in this little tiny thing in my palm. The future of work would not see gender. The future of work does not know who is female or who is male. It is who is performing. It is performance-based. The CEO of a company would look into the phone and see the graph, does not know which female or which male is doing what. I strongly believe, maybe the AI people can tell us more. In the next 10 years, people won't use names. They'll use numbers. They would use codes. They'll use signs. So the future of work really is not in women, men, how we act, what we do. The future of work is digital. And as long as we're left behind and we're not following, we women will be the one to suffer for it. Who remembers when we used to tap phone? I tapped phone to call my boyfriend. When you used to tap phone to call your boyfriends and girlfriends, we did it. But who would have thought Who would have thought in your generation, in your lifetime, you would be able to see the person, talk to the person, engage the person for free on a tablet this small? Nobody would have thought it. And that's the way I think we should think of the future of work. It is not in us, it is not in brick and mortar, it is not in a building, it is not in men, it is not in women, it is in productivity and optimal productivity. And that we can find here, not in a building.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Daya. So basically, we should stop restricting ourselves, and whatever labels have been placed in the past, we should not allow that to apply to ourselves. Thank you very much, Daya. Moving on, Mr. Stanley, again, I'm coming to you to ask you, what are some unexpected ways digital platforms have helped women entrepreneurs grow?
Thank you. I just want to thank Dayo for the points that she just made. And in putting it in simple terms, right, the future of work is blind to gender. And that's why talking about positioning yourself and being there is not negotiable. Otherwise, you're going to see a future where the gender disparity is going to get wider if we don't build the women to where we should be, especially with the tools that we'll talk about now. So the unexpected ways digital platforms have empowered women. I know most people will want to hear about e-commerce. Most people will want to hear about social media. These are very obvious ways that it has empowered women. But there are less obvious ways that have done more for women that we don't talk about, and that is important for us to share here, and hopefully it will be a key takeaway. You know, so one is the neobanks, microfinance, fintech platforms, coupled with the emergence of digital identity. It has helped access to finance, because we've talked about sponsorship here, right? So access to finance has improved tremendously, because with digital now, like we said earlier, digital really doesn't select the gender. So if you have the digital tools and we can track your footprint digitally in terms of your transactions, we can give you finance. So you see, the future of work has started. So that's the first way. We've seen microfinance platform, the neobanks platform, combined with the need that is everywhere now. Federal government has so many digital databases that we use to identify people that are eligible. Some of these things were not there before. So even when the things come, you find out that the men corner it, or even some strong women that are stronger than men, they corner these things. So the second is voice-based technologies. We've seen voice-based technologies support entrepreneurs a lot. Just to break it down, you see voice commerce, audio-based social network, voice assistants enabling participation in digital economy. So you see, most women that own businesses today, they might not be able to speak all the big English, but there are voice-based technologies that have been able to help them communicate their proposition to the public. So these technologies are there. They are less obvious. They are less talked about, but they have been very useful. Some of them you see even on TikTok. You see some of them on Instagram. Most of those things did not come from the brain of people. They are supported by AI and other social tools. The third is community-based digital platforms. You know, how do we see, we've seen now women having platforms that they can share. It starts from as little as a WhatsApp group where they can share things. And today we've seen some community-based digital platforms where women can share. If you're a farmer, you can share equipment and you know who to return and pass it on to the next person using these community-based tools. Another thing that is less talked about. You know, blockchain technology, we talk about it a lot in this country, but mostly the application is something we don't talk about. You know, so we've seen it give some transparency. Now we have entrepreneurs, smaller entrepreneurs, whether they are male or female, you are able to verify the authenticity of their product. You are able to connect directly to consumers anywhere in the world using blockchain. You know, so this is very key. I know that most people are still struggling with how blockchain works, and maybe that also places some responsibility on us as industry stakeholders to do more on literacy around these emerging platforms. It's least talked about, but it's very, very impactful. Then there's the bit around subscription-based businesses. So we talk about time, we talk about the motherhood penalties. Women don't have time, but there are a lot of things that, a lot of businesses you can do to manage this time deficit and still be visible out there and still grow. We need to look at subscription-based business models where even while you're dealing with so many other things, because those things won't go away in the immediate, you can still keep winning with a business model that works. Then the last is the emergence of digital cooperatives. We are seeing an aggregation of online platforms. I can say almost anyone here in this room that uses WhatsApp will have more than 10 or 5 groups, different communities. I think women have it a lot. I had to tell my wife to slow down. They will soon defraud you. You see communities for yam, communities for chicken, and community for snail, you know. So, you know, there are so many communities. In as much as we try to downplay this thing, it's helping a lot. Those are people's businesses that are selling. It's connecting buyers to sellers, and we are seeing even people taking things on credit and paying back at the end of the month without even knowing who they are buying from, and even the seller not knowing who they are selling to. These are things that we talk about very little, but they have been very impactful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Stanley. If we have any questions, please raise your hand and we would get the microphone across to you. Please raise your hands if you have any questions. While we're waiting for any questions, Damilola, I know you mentioned earlier that when they wanted to give you funding, they said, you didn't see your face during our meetings. They had to fly all the way in from Kenya. Aside that, what is the funniest tech fail you've ever had in a virtual meeting? We see a lot of these things on social, so tell us one.
I think I can still share my slide on Teams. So I didn't get it. I can still use Teams.
Why not?
It's just
not
as easy as Google Meet or Zoom. So Teams.
If you have Lady Link, Teams or Teams people, if you can give her 1 or 2 Teams on how she can use the app better. All right, Dio, if you could have any futuristic tech skill instantly, what would it be and why?
Okay, just to follow up on Damilola, sorry, I had a tech fail. I was in a meeting, and my children came back from school, and my daughter was jumping all over me. This was like 4 years ago, and I kept shoving her. Then she just went, don't they know you have children? So hybrid in itself has the pros and cons. Okay, I would say tech superpower, working in HR, I would say AI. Actually, don't let me give official answer. Let me give my own answer. If I could have a tech power, who plays video games here? Thank you. Stand up, let them see you. And she's a girl. Round of applause for her. That is not limiting yourself. My son I have a 17-year-old, so you can imagine all the video games I've played. If I had a tech power, I would be Save Point. Who knows Save Point? Save points is where you get to finish a game and win the game if you have save points. It is with save points you can go past the protagonist. After every time, kill you're dead. You can use save points to wake up again and keep going. If you fall off a building and you have save points, you buy it. You can go back to save points and go to the day before you fell off a building. Imagine if I had save points. I would buy Apple shares in 2008. If I had save points, I would go bungee jumping, skydiving, toast my crush the same day. Because what's the worst that can happen? Save points, I go back to the day before. If I had save point, I'll take on any volunteering role in BOI. The work that takes people 5 weeks, I would have done it 5 weeks before the day. The day they give it to me, save points, I would use it, and I'll be best employee of the year. You get the gist. I'll be Save Point. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 questions now. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you're directing your question to.
Good day, everyone. My name is Muniro Ishola from Crescent College. Wait though, this picture that they are doing on the screen is not complimenting me very well. Please, can we? Anyway, back to my question. I wanted to direct it towards Dami because I feel like I really connect with her because sometimes tech did not just used to cooperate with me. You know, I really see myself in you because even though my daddy used to compliment me that Munira, you can use laptop, but why don't you go into tech? I'm using what people have made. So how do I like gain the skills to make my own apps? Because even if you now have the skills to make your own like tools to use, how do I get the ideas? Because the most difficult thing about trying to establish something is an original idea, because it feels like everything has been done before, everything has been said before. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. When we started Shotlers, so for any tech company, right, that you want to get funding from, whether you want to enter an accelerator program like YC, or you want to get funding from the US or Europe, you need to have a technical co-founder, or you are the technical co-founder, meaning that you can code. Because if you're not a software developer, then how are you going to build the tech that is a tech company, right? And so at the beginning, in fact, I spent 4 years looking for a technical co-founder. I studied chemical engineering in school, but I tried to learn how to code. It was not entering my head. Even though like I loved maths and further maths in school, software engineering is another ball. So if you try to learn, maybe through any form of training or online or Udemy, and you've not acquired that skill, partner with somebody who has that skill. Another thing that you have now, don't have then, is AI. My co-founder, who is the CTO, can build a chatbot in an hour now, just by, because he's a software developer. Before it would take maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now it's taking him an hour because the AI, ChatGPT or Claude, can be his assistant or co-pilot that codes with him. But you need some level of knowledge before you can use AI to build an application. So you can take some courses online and then know how to use some resources online and then use AI to know how to code. But if you think that you don't have that skill, that your skill is probably in product development, partner with somebody else that has that skill. Those kind of people. In your school, move with the top and the top people. The people that are not on TikTok dancing. But they are those that know what they are in school for, right? They are there and make good friends, both male and female. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Ayeni. I have a question for Madam Dayo. I know when you were speaking earlier, you talked about juggling. You also talked about balance. But I would like you to throw more light on that, because it's an area that... This picture is not flattering as well. Okay, so it's an area that we kind of shy away from, because when we say work-life balance, we often hear there's nothing like work-life balance. So how do we find some balance? Because there has to be some sort of balance. I would like to hear from you. I'd also like to hear from Stanley Jacobs, hello, as well, just to hear from a man's perspective. Maybe you have some words for us as women. And then one more question. I often find that for women, it's very difficult to set boundaries. Not a problem for me, but just something. I mean, we're all women here. There are times where you want to set boundaries in terms of your work, in terms of what you would allow and all of that. And I often find that people are afraid to set that. But if you can, please just give us some tips on how that can be done effectively. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jennifer. Again, I would speak from my perspective, and I can only give you my story and what has worked for me. I think for every individual, especially women, you have to choose what works for you. So I would say in my 20-something plus career, I personally, in my opinion, I've never been able to find that balance of equilibrium. There are times in my career where work takes precedence. There are times where home and work suffers. All I strive to do is to juggle and make sure at no point do I let the ball drop for any of them. That's one thing. As a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a doctor, I'm a daughter-in-law, I'm a manager, I'm a leader. Can all those things be 100% at the same time if we're being truthful? For you to have the balance, everything must either be 50% at the same time, 40% at the same time. So what I try to do is when I see work is dropping, I step up a notch. When I see life is dropping, I step up a notch. I'll give you a personal experience. Many years ago, many moons ago, 13, 14 years ago, not really newly married, I had to go and work out of the country. I went. I took my children with me. My husband stayed back. Now you can say that is the closest you have to a balance. But is it balanced? It's not. I gave work and I gave family. But my husband didn't come. Would you say that's balance? But to me, that's the highest and best I've had a balance in my career. Again, I spoke about when different times in your career as a woman, what is important to you is different. I spoke about when my kids were younger, I needed more life balance. So work probably suffered at times while I struggled with life. When my kids were older, in fact, you have to chase me to stop calling you out of work because my kids are older. So work takes precedence. Just, Jennifer, just so you know, at every point, every day, you can't even have a balance daily. Today it might be work, tomorrow it might be home, depending on what you're going through personally as a woman. And I could as well speak about boundaries myself, since I have the mic. What you allow is what will continue. What you allow is what will continue. And I think as a woman, what helped me most is looking at men like my father, my brother, my husband. My father never put a differentiator between women and men. He had 3 girls before. I'm 4 years older than my brother, who is last born, only boy. So I look at all of you, Idi like see them, last born, these men. So I'm able to set my boundaries with the men as if they were my brother. I'm able to set the boundaries with the men as if they were my father, because that's all I know. How to speak your truth, how to challenge when it's not working from you. And another personal example, I had a male boss when I had my son. No, when I had my daughter, I'd had my son. When I had my daughter, I had a male boss, and it was appraisal time. And he didn't mean it negatively, but he spoke about, I was pregnant, I was not at work for 5 months. So, you judge me by the 7 months I worked against the 12 months a man worked. That is equity. If I didn't set that boundary that day, I don't know what my appraisal would have been. But I said to him, the 7 months I worked, this is what I produced. Now prorate it against the person who worked for 12 months, against what they did. So you can't challenge, you can't set boundaries if you're not on top of your game as well, as a woman. If somebody tells you you're dropping the ball, you can't say it's because you're a woman you're dropping the ball. No, you must show them, I didn't drop the ball, and this is it. So it's very important to set boundaries, but there's a very thin line between boundaries and emotional manipulation and female bullying as well. So be very careful of that. As long as you're on top of your game, it's very, very easy to set your boundaries. Thank you.
I think it's working now. So I think Dayo has said almost everything that I needed to say. But I'll say this, because work-life balance, different people see it as different things. I'm one of those people, with apologies or no apologies, I think whether you're a man or a woman, there is no such thing as work-life balance. It's a myth, right? And what we always try to put in that bucket of work-life balance is the fact that as people that work, we are supposed to be ambidextrous, right? Ambidexterity is what Dayo is talking about. You need to know when you are a wife, when you are an employee, when you are a pastor, and when you're doing everything that you need to do. And when you need to know how to transform yourself into different modes. If you can't do that, you're going to struggle. And it comes with a lot of efficiency. So as an executive in Stanbic IBTC, I have 3 vice presidents that work with me. They are all female. So it's 100% female. I don't even have a male. And I've had instances last year where they've said to me, oh, maybe you need to hire 1 male so that it's balanced. And I'm like, well, whoever comes best for the job takes it. If they all have to be female, I'm good with it. Right? But again, a lot of helping them manage this time also depends on me. So this thing around what you call work-life balance, it varies at different stages of a career. If you are in the earlier stages, mid-level of your career, you will struggle more with it. When you're senior, you have more control over your time. That's when you get up and say, I'm going to cook at 4 p.m. But at the junior and mid-level, you need to be clear on what you want to do. That's the boundaries we're talking about. But you see, while we talk about boundaries, some people misunderstand it, and they become recalcitrant in the name of trying to set boundaries. You have something to do 8 to 5, you will not do it. You spend the time eating lunch 4 hours out of 8. Then when it's 5 p.m., you begin to shout that I have to cook for my husband. There are companies that won't take that. Productivity is important. So whether you're a woman or you're a man, you have to do your work. So I think most times it boils down to the productivity and having constructive conversations. I've been in that shoe, what Dio said about not being around for 4 months. Some of them went for surgeries, some gave birth. Some managers actually do that till tomorrow. They tell you the reason why you cannot be a 5/5 this year is because you were out for 4 months. So I, as a manager, have never done that. But it also means that I have to take some sense of responsibility to understand that this is a woman. In fact, so I had a VP that had some medical, and after that, she was rushing to come back to work. And I said to her, you are not going to come back to this office until you are well. Right? And she was reporting me that I'm refusing her. I said, no, stay in your house. Because she wanted to come. And I appreciate that she wanted to be on her deck. She wanted to do her job, but she had to be well first. Right? So we have to support each other and be ambidextrous. Let us check. And lastly, for me, always check that area where you are deficient, where you are struggling. Is it in your family? Because it can never be balanced, right? Is it in your work? And sometimes seek help. Right? Sometimes the problem you are having is cooking. Seek help. That's why some people have a cook, if you can afford it. So I think we should do this and be balanced. This work-life balance thing is leading to a lot of argument. It doesn't exist. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have come to the end of our panel discussion. Thank you for the questions that you gave to our panelists. Can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you very much, Bank of Industry. Happy International Women's Day to every woman here. And can we all just get our panelists to take a photo?
Can we have Madam Theodora Amechi on stage, please? And Madam Jelilat, if they are available. Okay, ma. Edie Ellie is here as well. Okay. Yes. Ma, please, can we have you on stage? Thank you, ma. Oh, ma, please, can you get on stage and for pictures with the team? The MDs in the house. Yes, I don't know. Do we have... I don't think...
All right, thank you very much. Please, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add something to what Dami had earlier said concerning the question from the students from Crescent. Hello, can I have your attention, please? All right. So concerning your question as to how to come up with ideas, right? I think the first thing you want to do is to determine what the problem is. So if you are looking into exploring tech and building tech platforms for users, right? Just like the shuttlers example. You want to determine what the problems are. So think of it, do your research. What are those daily, from the moment you wake up as a person, an average Nigerian or an average human being or an average woman, right? What are those challenges we face? Now, you do that, you do your research, you collaborate, and I believe that you can come up with solutions, because a lot of the platforms that exist today is as a result of, solving problems. And yes, you want something that is original, yeah? So you want to see that the problems that you think people are running away from, run towards those problems, right? So that's the little I wanted to add.
A round of applause for my co-host. So you can see that the panelists did a good job, because look at all the wisdom that Kosi is spitting.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. But while the panel session was going on, I was listening, but I have a bone to pick with Bisola. She poured sand in my gari earlier today. When we sat and she said, ask the person next to you 3 questions. Guess where I sat? God placed me in a good position next to EDCS. And just before she asked 3 questions to the person next to you, his ATM card fell. And I just quickly said, your pin, sir, your pin, sir. And she said, ask them good morning or something. And I said, oh, that's how the ED escaped. If not, I'll just be smiling back to the bank. But that's fine. Now we have the talented young students from Crescent Schools. They have a poetry presentation for us today. So let's please put our hands together as they come on stage for their presentation. Let's encourage them. The young shall grow. Let's encourage them. Please encourage them. It's going to boost their morale. Please encourage them.
Okay, once you use the... Okay, wait. Someone done it for you. Wow. Being in the presence of so many accomplished women is making me tremble, but I just have to compose myself. Anyways, so when the invitation to our school came, I was feeling like, I'm a girl that will soon become a woman. So it's also my day. I cannot just, let me help you share your glory. So I was like, and I'm a very creative girl. Like, I like to speak out when I see that things are happening. And then I thought of the theme of today, which is accelerate action. And on a good day, I would look at this topic with surface level. But I said, let me go deeper. Who is accelerating this action, Gongon? And that is the women that are seated with me today, these very beautiful women. So it got me thinking, who is a woman? Who is a woman? A short poem. A woman is many things, and she cannot be contained to one. As anything she lays her hands upon instantly becomes more. A woman is passionate, she's strong. Her potential continues to grow no matter the odds. A woman is remarkable as she keeps swimming against the tide. Nothing can stop her from taking leaps and strides. A woman is many things and much, much more. If I had to say it all, this poem would go on for way too long.
Okay then. This poem will go on for way too long, because she has waited, she has fought, yet justice lingers, progress sought. No longer shadows, no more delay. Her voice must shape the world today. The wall of doubt must break apart. Her strength, her fire, her fearless heart. Not just a dream, not just a plea, but action now, her right to be free. Accelerate, no time to stall. Rise as one, rise for all. Let equity light every way. For women's power must not delay. No turning back, no slowing tide. With courage, fierce and open wide. A world rebuilt, her time has come. Not somebody soon, but now as one.
Good day, everyone. You would agree with me that most write-ups, poetries about women are surfaced around the struggles, the agony, the miseries that women tackle. Tribulations, pain, suffering surrounding women. Today, right here, right now, I'm changing that style of writing. Let's talk about how women carry weight. From centuries of history to the endless grind of every day, she carries the weight of the world, not just the physical, but the emotional, the spiritual, the ancestral. A woman dances to the beat of her own joy, a joy that can't be stolen or destroyed. A woman is the spark of revolutions, a dreamer's dream, a builder's vision, the one who with a single glance turns a room into an uprising insurrection. A woman is Sankofa, reaching back to get what was lost, the wisdom passed down from grandmother to daughter, the ocean, the moon, the sky. The world had to bend on its axis because a woman exists. A woman is born of kings and queens. She wears her crown with so much ease. Her blood runs rich with stories of ancient lands. She walks with a regal grace the world can only try to understand. But they will never know the cost, the centuries it took to shape her pain into power. I admire her, I admire a woman. So every blessed day I say, I'm a girl today, but I pray to be a strong woman every day. Because when I laugh, I want the whole world to pause. And with every move, every traction I make is followed with an acceleration of action. Thank you. I'm Olajide Firdaus Moisola.
And I'm Munira Ishola. And this is Bulama Khadija.
Thank you very much. Well done, girls. Okay. Quick one for everyone. Why did the woman bring a pencil to the meeting? Who knows the answer? To write. Okay.
Their gifts.
Any other guess?
Why did the woman bring a pencil to the meeting?
Why did the woman bring the pens? Because she was ready to draw some conclusions.
Okay, we have one more. Behind every successful woman is...
Okay.
Behind every successful woman is her shadow or herself.
It's a good one, but it's not really what I'm
It's
looking
not what
for.
we're looking for.
Anyone wants to take a guess?
Her family, her story. Those are all correct answers. But that's not-
Absolutely.
Did you
Madam
Google
Daya.
it?
Behind every successful woman is another strong woman or strong man behind her.
I agree with you, absolutely. You
That's
know,
very close.
there are no wrong answers, but
No wrong
behind
answers.
every successful woman is another woman whispering, I love your outfit. Where did you get it? Because when I was researching, obviously, my first time I was really nervous. So I spent the whole weekend, researching and getting ready for today. So I came across one video and the person said, if you're going to MC at an event, you have to make sure you're the best dressed. I was like, oh, that one, we have the likes of Madam Dio, Madam Iriti, Madam Theodora. I will aim for at least 50 best dressed. And look at them. They all look so stunning. You all look so stunning. So a round of applause for all the beautiful women in this room. Round of applause. I hope you are having as much fun as I've been having since we started this program. If you are, please just clap, cheer, whatever. Just, give me something to work with. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, quick announcement. We have pictures. I said at the beginning that Emmanuel Yeleke Studios is here. They're taking beautiful portraits outside. So, please make sure you take a picture. Use the hashtag.
Here to support you. For those who are yet to know about our programs, please tell your friends. Come to BOI. We're here to support everyone. So on behalf of management, I would like to thank everyone for showing up. Thank you very much. I wish you safe journey back to your destinations. So they gave me 2 things to do. I'm also supposed to do closing prayer. So for the closing prayer, I would like to start by saying Ramadan Kareem to everyone present.